Indeed, join the league as we are into Season 4 of the AMX Global Series. We're here live at Brands Hatch in the Toyota 86s, but it's not the Brands Hatch that we are normally familiar with. This is the Brands Hatch Indy circuit that we're going to go into. More into detail after that. For the AMX 1 light category here in Kent. What a lovely sight. The former British Grand Prix venue that has hosted F1 racing in the past, at least up to 1986, but irregardless, it's still a great venue for racing. Hello from me, Ame. Alongside me is Damon. And, well, Brands Hatch on the menu once again after being on the menu last time, but it was on ACC. This time it's on iRacing. What are you looking forward to on a short layout, but with fast chuckable cars, Damon?
Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to seeing what's happening. We had the NASCAR 1987 class on Saturday, which I was a part of, and that was a riot and a half. So I'm looking forward to see what these guys can do with something with a little less power, but a lot more chuckability.
Absolutely, and a short circuit to really match the characteristics of the car. It's kind of like BTCC racing, isn't it, with the short layout? And normally the BTCCs have this as their final round of the season and the opening round, but it's just going to create a little bit of excitement, isn't it? Because the shorter layout provides much more closer racing, and we don't see the gaps being spread out among the packs. So we'll get into all of that much sooner, as we are going to be going through the housekeeping first. The housekeeping that we normally go through before the start of the race. Then after that, we get into the nitty-gritty of what's what. Now, the overview of the season. As per usual, this is on iRacing. From January 27th all the way to April 21st, a $20,000 prize pool and next level racing gear up for grabs at the end of the season. Racing on a variety of cars and tracks, and the race format is something that a lot of people will be familiar with in the 4 seasons that we've done so far. Just a bit of a bump up in the qualifiers, where it's now 20 minutes as opposed to the much shorter 6 minutes that we had previously, with a top 50 reverse grid that's flipped on its head based on the results in qualifying. A 20-minute Heat 1, and after that, flipping the top 15 from that particular race result on its head to go into Heat 2. So, prize amounts for every standing is similar for each session. The next part of the overview, driver cams are required and has been mandated since the start of the season, so you get to see everybody's face here. Balances of $100 we paid out each month, racing on Tuesdays, Saturday, and Sundays. With the sign up, you can race at any time at amxrace.com. Next up, we will have the schedule when we're going to be racing. It will be on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and the times are now pretty much similar. 5:50 p.m. for all 3 days for AMX 1 and 7:20 p.m. for AMX 10. So never gonna miss a beat. Everyone can just count to the standard time that everyone follows, GMT, and that will really ease a lot of the confusion sometimes for certain drivers where time zones can be a bit of a factor. Now then, moving on from the times we're racing is what we're racing for. This is the AMX 1 race prize pool. As you can see, qualifying and both heats provide cash on the side. $7 for the fastest in qualifying with 20 cents to 15th. But it's the same in the first heat and second heats, with an added bonus of an extra $1 for the fastest lap. So a total of $100 up for grabs here for both heats and qualifying. And let's see if someone can actually pull off a triple crown in AMX 1. So from the prize pool to the drivers who have won the money from this season so far, and it's quite tight at the top. You can see there's $71.35. with just a 5-cent difference between Diego Villarreal de Leon and Connor Healy. So Connor then will no doubt be wanting to take part in this one if he wants to keep up a challenge with Villarreal. Behind him is Mauricio Lozano, just a couple of dollars behind. $4.60 by our count by the looks of it. For Kudarago fourth. Loy Regier, who we saw the other day racing here at Brands Hatch in the ACC portion of AMX Season 4. He won that convincingly to take it up to P5, and behind him is his fellow countryman Fabian Ogier. The rest of the field, Belzidi, Machado, Gayoso. Imran Zahaili somehow is still there despite only racing twice, but he will no doubt be focusing on the ACC portion of the tournaments, ACC portion of the championship from here on out. Pascucci, and then Gerardo Ramos, the driver with the most amount of entertainment providing on screen, is running out your top 12. On to the next part, which is the promotions aspect here. Or in fact, this is the championship table that we're going to show right now. From 10th to 2nd first, Pascucci, Senao, Antunes, Gerardo Ramos, Javi Pla, Machado. We unfortunately lost it a bit. Pablo Messerat in 4th place. Yep, Pablo Messerat in 4th place. This is, of course, the AMX light category standings that we're looking at right now. 19.5 points, 80.6. You can see that's very closely spread, so it keeps up the competition for a long period. But third place, we see a competitor that we normally see in AMX 10, Aaron Vasquez, in third place behind Diego Villarreal. But up in front, it's Mauricio Lozano who's leading the way, and he is here tonight. So he's looking to extend that almost half the championship gap up in front here with the race tonight. Now then, with the championship out of the way, here's the promotion aspect of the race tonight. A D3 promotion on your left, you can purchase an entry fee 3 days before the race and get 30% off, which pertains to all the AMX Season 4 races. But if you want to go a few steps better, the Season DC tickets are up for grabs here. It will have season entries, tickets from the website available for purchase, and these tickets are available for each class of a total of 6, and will provide 50% off to all races of the purchase class, i.e. in AMX 10 and 1. But you can race in those subcategories that we have, the front wheel drives, the lights, etc. Now then, with that out of the way, the housekeeping is done. Now we get to see where we're racing at and what are we racing at. To take it away now, Damon, to see what's what.
Thank you very much, Amir. Well, I think we mentioned it at the beginning, but it's good to remind ourselves where we're racing. We are, of course, on Brands Hatch in the UK. Based in the city of Kent, we are racing on the Indy layout this time around, which is the shorter layout of Brands Hatch, totaling less than 2 kilometers, about 1.92 kilometers in length. It's a very tight, narrow circuit with a few fast sections, but mostly it's going to be winding turns. So we probably see some pretty intense racing going on. Fun fact about the track, there is a curfew enforced on this track. You can't race after 6:30 p.m. because there is a housing area nearby. So enough about the track. Let's go over to the car that we will be taking around, and it is of course the Toyota GR86, the second iteration of the GT86 that came out in 2012. So this car, this line of cars is more than a decade old now at this point. And the second generation here, we've got about 230 horsepower going to the rear wheels, a curb weight of around 1,300 kilograms. Not particularly powerful, but extremely chuckable and harks back to the days of the old Sprinter Truno GT Apex car. So probably one of the best cars for beginners, but we know for a fact that the drivers here are far from beginners. So take it back to you, Amo.
Yep, certainly. Thanks, Damon, for the very good overview of the car and the track that we're racing at. Key point to note, we don't have to worry about noise abatement on sim racing because we can race however we want, whenever we want, and we don't care about the virtual crowd that's inside. Now then, we're going to head into qualifying here and see how it's progressing as the 7 drivers are now back out on track here for the second phase of qualifying. Remember, it's 20 minutes now we have in this season, and as we join the qualifying session right now for race 14 AMX1, the light category, it looks as though 10 minutes, in fact 9 minutes, it passed almost 10 minutes. In front is Daniel Antunes, in the highest rating guy, as we're looking at Gerardo Ramos. Ramos has spun around, probably is going to jump back into the pits. Let's see then who will be following now. It's Curtis Bird, the Australian, taking the white line coming out of Graham Hill Bend, and that's the way to do it, isn't it? Because you had to use every single legal extremities of the circuit to find time.
Yeah, the important thing is you stay on the throttle as much as possible, because the thing about these low-powered cars is that conservation of momentum is extremely important. You don't want to lose unnecessary speed because it takes a while to get back up to that speed, as we see Ramos there just wiping out early on. But it does mean he gets to go again for another lap, and because this is open qualifying, there are a lot of traffic on the track, so the drivers do have to be aware while they're putting in their times.
Certainly, and if you want to wear, you can have something like what Curtis Bird is driving, a VR headset, so he can literally see more than 180 degrees above honest. He can just look back and see the back of his seat where his driver is sitting, and might see someone who might just get up on his inside. So that's really nice to have. Very few drivers have adopted VR as part of the racing. The other one I can think of right now on the top of my head racing in AMX is Tim State. So Curtis Bird and Tim State, one of the best proponents of the VR headset, and it looks as though they're not doing too shabby. Look at the lap times then. 51 flat for Antunes, but 51.7 for Bird as he comes across the line. Is it an improvement? No, it's a 51.8 that time around. Times are looking very competitive, Damon.
Yeah, you can see that. Oh, you have to be very careful with these cars. They don't have race suspension, so they're very prone to body roll. You can see that just touching the curb a little bit puts him on two wheels and causes him to miss the driving line. So with this wing on the back of the car, you do have a little bit of downforce over the stock car, but all in all, it is just a stock car.
Indeed, and well, you can see that case in point, the body roll there. How soft is the car compared to a normal race car? Maybe BTCC cars will have a bit more leeway in that one, as we see the icons, what it means if you see a purple, green or yellow bar, fastest lap in session or fastest lap around the sectors, and then personal best for green, seen like Gerardo Ramos, and yellow, all yellow in this case for Curtis Bird. Don't want to say yellow Bird, but he was all yellow that time around. Across the line he goes, and still no improvement, and he goes back to the pits, trying to prep for yet another lap. Let's see that Mauricio Lozano was looking pretty decent. Now, in fact, 4/10 off that time around. Renato Parra we're looking at right now. Slowest of the bunch, 53.1. No doubt he will be trying to improve on that as we look at Gerardo Ramos's camera. Right now, look at that. Flip in the air a bit. So the cars might be a little bit soft enough to actually flick them up, David.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're not particularly gentle with your steering inputs. Any form of instability or weight transfer could unsettle the car to a point. Great on his drivers keeping it under control so far. We're just going to have to see what they'll be like once they're all on the track together, side by side. Because as I mentioned before, this is a very tight and narrow circuit, so there might be a little bit of contention early on.
Indeed, we can use a shooter term for that choke point, but I think the most common one has to be paddock hill bend turn one. Of course, if someone was to go out wide and someone goes narrow, it might get a hit. We saw that before back in 1976 in the British Grand Prix here. How Niki Lauda and Clay Regazzoni came together, a Ferrari impact. What a surprise. Going off there, that allowed James Hunt to go. No, in fact, James Hunt was involved in that first incident, but the car might be damaged. He actually still went on to win that day until his win got rescinded sometime later. As we look at Renato Parra coming across the line, 52.3 on the board. He improves up to that point, and he's into the 51s now, 51.9. So every single driver that we have here today is in 51.9, is in the 51s. As we look at some of the people who are in, including Fabio Zambolini, we might see him in AMX 1 after this. Just Keith as well, a normal contributor, and Exhaust Sniffer right back at him as well. He is also one of our regular contributors here. Hello and everyone. Hopefully you're going to enjoy some racing here tonight as we are still on board with a improving Renato Parra. Let's see how he's going to improve here, Damon.
Yeah, on board with Curtis Bird right now, and I think we could probably take a while to just enjoy the driving skill that also comes with the immersion that VR provides you. You can see right now he's coming into turn one here on the Paddock Hill bend into Halewoods Hill later on. And honestly, I probably wouldn't be able to drive a VR headset because I probably just get motion sickness. I mean, I drive a lot, but it still kind of feels weird, especially when you don't have the physical sensations that comes with driving a car when you put on a VR headset.
I think it's that sensation of moving but you're not moving. It kind of becomes off-putting for certain people, but for the other guys it's just a matter of immersion. And of course, because iRacing's VR implementation is actually quite good, so not much of a problem there. It's just a matter of, well, if you can afford one, two, how well you can race with it. And certainly for Bert, he's still relatively close to the guys up in front, and Tunya's still 7/10 ahead as we are on board with Curtis Bird across the line, still 51.8. Plenty of time to spare as well, because since, as we all know by now, by the time that the timer hits 20, the qualifying session ends straight away, so at least he has some time in his pocket and be able to complete a lap time. So you see Mauricio Lozano in the snazzy Yahoo colored car coming across there. We are going to put a spotlight on him from CLK Sports. Interestingly, driving with a Dutch flag, even though he is from Mexico. But then again, some of these drivers will probably have actual licenses like he in IRL. 22 years old, and you can follow him at his social media right there as he starts yet another lap, trying to find 2/10 here, less than 2/10 to get up to the back of Daniel Antunes, who's really been keeping his powder quite dry. He put the initial laps earlier, Damon, but looks as though he's just ready to sit back for at least until if Lozano improves, just like Curtis Bird. He's up to P4 now, 51.4.
Yeah, and the thing about the track being this short is that you don't really have that much room to. There's not a lot of margin for error. Basically, there's it's a game of inches. Maybe you take a line a little bit too narrow, and because it is a narrow track, a small misstep, you miss the apex just a little bit, your entire line goes wide, and then that lap you just have to sag. Luckily, of course, the track is short, so that means you can put in more laps and get the drivers more used to the cars themselves. You can see there, Lozano again on two wheels coming out of Paddock Hill there, and yeah, on the man of the hour, Diego Villarreal here. I saw him drive on Saturday in one of the NASCARs and did pretty well for himself. Won one of the heats, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this time around.
Certainly, and in a car that is no doubt going to be suited to the way that he normally drives, because he loves to really throw it around. As the Uruguayan comes across the line here, is it going to be an improvement? No, it's a 53 flat, so that's basically him winding it up for another run. In fact, he did take a very wide line. Normally you want to run very narrow if you want to start your lap, but because he is just on a coasting lap as opposed to a push lap, nope, proves us wrong. He is actually going to let Gerardo Ramos through, I think, by losing, because I saw a yellow car behind as well, looking for the, well, in front on the track, but back on the leaderboard. 51.8, Renato Parra is the only driver who is just outside of 51.6 this year. He no doubt wants to improve on that. Still, yellows in the first couple of sectors here, but it looks like it's not really going to be an improvement unless he can pull something out of the back in the final corner, Damon.
Yeah, we got about 2.5 minutes left before the end of qualifying right now, and the times are almost pretty much set in stone. Haven't seen many improvements daily other than Curtis Bird's lap improved it by about 3.5 tenths. Aside from that, however, I think this is going to be the grid going forward, and it'd be interesting to see how these drivers end up in turn one, because a lot of drivers will probably want to take the same line, but you can't have more than one car on it.
You're right on that one, because Paddock Hill Bend is a bit of a negative camber corner on the outside, so you could actually be thrown into the gravel trap. If you were to start, say, on pole position, you'll be on the left-hand side of the track. You get a good start, you can cut across, but that's going to be still playing really a game of chicken against someone behind if they were to be on that same piece of real estate. And we've seen many races come across with Brands Hatch, especially in BTCC, where drivers cut across, try to think they still had the space and be punted around. So we'll keep an eye out for that once the action starts. As we see, we didn't talk much about Marcelo Reales. He's coming across the line, and he's not taking the narrow line either across the line. So it looks as though that is not his push laps. That's just his coasting lap. He's just winding it up, ready for the next one. And there we go, bang on cue. Takes Paddock Hill Bend aggressively, just as you would like, Damon. Oh no!
That's way too aggressive. He actually missed the apex there, didn't actually touch the curb at all. They ended up taking the exit way too wide, and then ending up having to sag the lap. And again, we come back to the point. Turn one is just probably the most difficult part of the track to get right, I would say.
You're not wrong with that either, because that is exactly what the circuit was designed for. It just wants to catch you out into number one. Very tricky corner to get right, but when you do, you really nail it. You're just on the edge of the grip and nearly just taking the gravel on the outside. You gain so much time, and that's why it really makes or breaks a lap. That corner, and of course, the final corner at Clearways through Clark Curve, is just the one that really will separate you from pole position or starting last, as Villarreal touches the grass on the outside. We were talking about Paddock Hill Bend. You got it wrong that time around, and Gerardo Ramos nearly to the back of him too. So does Reales, but Villarreal plays it safe, puts it out of harm's way, and carries on as, oh no, Ramos also really loses it coming out of Druids, and a couple of other drivers have called time on their qualifying here as Lozano improves, but only just 700s behind, so that's a very close time at the front. As qualifying now comes to an end, we're going to see the results soon in no time, but what a dramatic finish to the qualifying session, Damon.
I wouldn't say dramatic. I mean, we did see something happen, but it was sort of like, qualifying is almost over anyway. I wouldn't have time to put in another lap, so might as well just call it here. Daniel Antunes comfortably in first place throughout almost the entirety of qualifying, had almost no challenge at all. A few drivers did come a bit close though. You can see Mauricio Lozano here about only 1/10 behind him. Gerardo Ramos another 10th behind that. Curtis Bird managing to claw his way to 4th place. Diego Villarreal a comfortable 5th, with Marcelo Reales and Renato Parra rounding up the final two.
of course, because there's 7 drivers here. Don't say that the small numbers are not going to create good races. We've seen plenty of drivers form very close packs, and it is enough to provide us good action here. As we're going to get underway for heat number 1. On pole position will be Renato Parra. Right beside him will be Marcelo Reales, Brazilian and Argentine in the first row. As green flag, we're underway. It's a slow start for Parra. In fact, he's actually swapped now by Villarreal on the inside. Reales taking the wide line right the outside, and further behind Antunes also didn't get off to the best of starts either. He's bogged it. But in front, it's Reales with Villarreal in second, and Parra somehow manages to hold on to this. We look further behind. This is Ramos, Bird, Lozano, and Antunes fighting it out for P3 right now in the early doors, as Parra just about 2/10 of a second ahead. On the inside goes Bird with Lozano following suit, and Antunes finally gets it going now. He's going to attack Lozano first. We're coming into the end of the first lap already because it's such a short circuit, but no doubt this is the sort of pattern we're going to see throughout the entire race, David.
Yeah, definitely. And considering the fact that we talked about how much turn 1 was probably going to be a point of contention for some of these drivers, I'm honestly gobsmacked that the entire first lap went by without incident.
Certainly, and only just a couple of drivers bogging off the line. Maybe some dust being kicked up, but irregardless, up in front now, Villarreal is actually taking the lead of the race. He's gone onto the inside of Reales through Paddock Hill Bend, and that was a textbook move. He made it stick and did not cause the other guy to go out. As you can see his replica Giancarlo Fisichella helmet on display there, even with the Philip Morris running on the side. There's the 2 cap. That's very nice. That's a nice touch we've added for this season, so we can see both drivers, how they are reacting to this. It looks as though Reales is not too fussed about it. He can still be chasing up to the back of Villarreal, but he's got Ramos for company, as Lozano and Bird have tried to overtake Parra, but only Lozano's through. Antunes and Bird among themselves. As Bird behind, that's a spin. Parra's been turned around, so that's his race. Well, not done, but he is out of contention for the podium here, David.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Hopefully we get a replay to see what just happened there early on, because that seemed like a little bit of a push. Maybe he took a line that he shouldn't have. But because of that, I think that's his race done and dusted. Although saying that, however, we still got about 20 laps, so there is still time for Parra to catch up. Villarreal, they're holding on to the lead. This is probably going to be a 3-car duel for P1 right now. We'll see how long this battle lasts. But up until that point, I think Villarreal is going to be pretty comfortable with the spot. Ooh, really close to the bumper of Reales. There is Ramos.
Indeed, as we see, that's the replay of what happened. It is, in fact, Antunes who's actually turned him around. So we saw it towards the end of it. We wanted to see what happened. We thought maybe a slight spin that caused it, but no. In fact, he was helped on his way out. As you can see, on the inside goes Reales. Ramos on the outside. Reales mounts the curve. He goes 2 wheels for a second, and Ramos cuts it across, smoking up to second place. And we can see now Lozano is going to join suit here, trying to work on the back of Reales.
Yeah, and you can see there how much the car gets unsettled when you go over the curve. You might have the inside track on that particular corner, but having 2 wheels up means you lose a little bit of momentum coming out there when you have to control the car on the descent. And Ramos took the opportunity, took a little bit of a wider line, but managing to sneak through Reales there.
Beautiful move from Ramos to get it up to P2, and he's setting his sights on Diego Villarreal. A couple of commenters on the bottom there were pointing out how Villarreal was really on the edge of grip, but for the time being he's holding firm as Lozano dives on the inside, and for the second lap in the road Reales has been nicked position. This time Lozano goes up to P3, Reales drops to P4. In terms of lap time though, it's not really that far in it between the top 4. 51.8 is the best from Villarreal, 51.5 for Ramos, and 51.2 for Lozano. So no doubt Lozano is the fastest among drivers in the top 3 right now. As we look at Ramos then, heading up to the back of Diego Villarreal, this is going to be really nip and tuck. Villarreal goes onto the inside, Ramos goes to the inside of Villarreal and takes it. That is a lovely move. In fact, Villarreal gave a lot of space on the inside there, so maybe he was trying to just let the guy through, maybe to recall it back later, but at the expense of that, he lost a bit of momentum, and now Lozano's onto the back of him.
Yeah, he had to give a little bit of space there. Didn't want to cause an incident, unnecessary damage there. He was on board with Lozano right on the tail of Villarreal. That looks like he wants to make a little bit of a shot there, and it takes both drivers out.
Well, not sure what happened if Lozano survived that, but it looks of it he has actually. Somehow he made it
he
through.
has
Diego
actually kept it.
Villarreal.
Oh no!
Oh, that's Villarreal's race truly compromised, because you can see the car was absolutely bent there. And well, for listening, who was actually commenting on the fact that something was about to happen to Diego, well, hopefully he's going to be a bit pleased with himself with that one, predicting someone's actual accident. But Villarreal, unfortunately, was the one that probably caused that bit, because he was trying to cut across Lozano and just caused that accident. So Lozano was just hanging onto his line, and then the accident happened, Damon.
Yeah, really unfortunate set of circumstances for that, but that is the price you pay for trying to close the doors on people, trying to hold your line as best as possible. Sometimes people are just going to be there no matter what. Saying that, however, that leaves Renato Parra an opportunity to claw back one position, so good on him that he'll be able to sail comfortably up to 6th place, and he'll probably stay there for a bit. Right now, we are lap 7 of 23 right now. Gerardo Ramos here, comfortably in front of the pack now, just leaving everyone in the dust.
Yeah, after taking the lead away from Reales, he really has been comfortable up in front. But Antunes is the biggest improvement throughout the lot. Benefiting from that accident between Lozano and Villarreal, he's up to 2nd. No doubt he will try to claw his way up to the front, as he sets a 51.2 that time, run a 10 faster than Ramos, but he's got Reales for company, and Lozano as well, surviving the incident, is looking for the behind.
Alright, we're going to come to a replay now of the crash that happened between Villarreal and Lozano here as we come out on the screen right now. You can see there a little bit of a shunt from the rear end of Villarreal there, and forcing him to go wide. He tries to cut back into the line he wants to take, and then slams into Lozano, but he ends up the biggest loser in that exchange, because he gets pushed back up into the barrier, and that was pretty much his race done and dusted. Lozano that managed to keep the car under control.
Amazing bit of car control as well, might be add, because that really looked like he was out of control, but he managed to keep it together coming out to Druids, as he is now coming onto the inside of Reales, takes away P3, no doubt on the podium. He's going to set his sights on the back of both Antunes and Ramos after this. But that BenQ replay showed really the fine line between getting it wrong when you try to pull up a block, and the guy on the inside is just hoping that he's not going to get squeezed out. But unfortunately, contact was almost inevitable there.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, because the entire incident started with a little bit of a shunt from Lozano onto Villarreal, which unsettled the car, and and Villarreal was trying hard to keep it under control. But the fact that Lozano's car was still there when he tried to re-enter his line, just wasn't going to do it for him. And at this point, he's probably going to be just letting himself go and hopefully claw back in the second heat.
True that, and he is going to be on pole position for that second heat, as he is exiting the pit lane, so he actually deployed a quick repair. Well, unfortunately, because of the short nature of the circuit, 2 laps has been lost for him. He is no doubt still going to finish the race, but I guess what might have been had it not been for that accident. But whatever it is, we still see him out on track, and that's fine. Now then, Reales is now pressuring the back of Lozano. No doubt Lozano has damage from that collision with Villarreal. Maybe not as much as he would be thinking, but no doubt the car was compromised, David.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see that the performance is suffering a little bit there. If you look at his sector times, he is losing a little bit of ground in terms of the lead, in terms of the gap between him and Antunes as well. Meanwhile, Antunes is actually gaining a little bit on Ramos there. It was 2 seconds when we last saw him. It's now shortened it down to about 2/10. As I say that, it's back up to 2 seconds now. We'll see if he'll be able to catch up. Because the important part about a track this small is that you really can't rely on slipstream. So the speed, the momentum that these cars are carrying are pretty much almost identical throughout the rest of the track.
Indeed, and most of the time is gained through the corners, as we have a bit of banter between Exo Sniffer and Listen In. So yeah, we'd love to see if both of them can actually join AMX one day as well, so we can have a ball with everybody involved in the comment section and in the racing. So right now the race has settled. It's a bit of a lull period. We're almost reaching the halfway point. In fact, by the time we reach the halfway point of this lap, it will be the halfway point of the race. 51.4 for Ramos that time around. more the times will come rolling in, no doubt. Lozano is in fact, no, it's Reales who's actually the fastest among the 5 across the line there. So, really, Reales, despite being overtaken a couple of times, still has it in the tank here to still challenge for the podium. No doubt Ramos can hold on to the lead up in front, but if he were to drop it, this will be no doubt a battle for the win.
Yeah, and you know the best thing about having so few drivers on the grid is that every single car has a unique livery, and it's really easy to tell who's who. Had an experience earlier on. We were driving the TCRS earlier last week, and it was a little bit confusing to say the least. I did mix up a few names, I think.
Yeah, in fact, case in point, it's a very colorful livery. You can see a yellow car up in front, then purple in second with a bit of a cyan / dark bluish color behind. There we go. That the one driven by Curtis Bird. And then, of course, the Yahoo livery. That's really the most striking. I would say that's pretty much the eye-catching livery. And, of course, we have team involvement as well with the likes of Ramos driving for a team called R70. Yeah, eclectic mix of liveries all around, and that's pretty nice to see. But in terms of the racing, it does make a difference as we can identify them so far. And Ramos still being hunted by Antunes. The gap is ebbing and flowing. Just now it was up to 2 seconds, but now it's back to under 2 seconds, Damon. You might think he's just probably easing it a bit, saving his tires for the final push, and probably just inching away, or is Antunes actually taking up the wake?
Yeah, you could say that, but what I think there probably is going to be a big difference in their sector times. If I don't know if you can check on the live timing board, I think Antunes is probably faster around the latter half of the track itself, which is why the gap is shortening. However, Lozano is still on his tail, narrowing the gap down to less than half a second, or around half a second there. Probably trying to make the move within the next 3 or 4 laps.
Indeed, he was under 4/10, now he's back out to 5/10. Antunes under a bit of pressure now from Lozano. Again, just like between himself and Ramos, the gap is actually ebbing and flowing between Antunes and Lozano. You can see there, yeah, just almost under 5/10. It's climbing a bit, but this little straight, which is not much of a straight actually, is still pretty much one big parabolic turn, is enough for Lozano to get into the slipstream, and the pull of that slipstream is actually strong enough to put him under 4/10, and in turn gives him the fastest lap of the race. So he's the first guy to break into the 51.1. I'll be surprised if anyone can actually break into the 50s here. As we can see, Lozano lines one up. He looks a bit of a dink, but no doubt it's going to be just pressure all the way here for Lozano on Antunes.
I'm not entirely sure you can do a 50 in one of these cars unless they have DRS or something.
Yeah, I mean, not just DRS, but really the toe can be very, if the toe is defective. As we look at the onboard from Antunes to Lozano, now we're back out here. Gap is actually closing now to Ramos, 1.5 seconds with about 8 laps left to go after this. And really, it is heating up here up in front, but Ramos is under complete control right now. Coming up to Paddock Hill Bend for the 16th time. It looks as though it might just be between these trees because Reales has dropped now to 2.8 seconds behind. At one point, it looked like a nice glimmer of hope for him to chase, but he might have given up the ghost here.
Yeah, he might have lost the toe a little bit, which probably caused him to lose a bit of momentum there. Speaking of momentum, we have Antunes actually even closing the gap even further now, down to about 1.3 seconds, with Lozano hot on his heels. So this race is far from over. We could probably see like a last lap battle between these 3 cars.
Indeed, and it has to be relied on upon the fact that if Antunes and Lozano can work together here to get up to the back of Ramos. Still 1.4 seconds in it as the lap times just stabilized. Look at that, 51.2s from all 3 drivers. Passes that Ram Lozano by virtue of the fact that he was in a bit of a slipstream here. Reales 52, so 52 flat. He's not fading per se, but he is losing touch to the guys who are fighting for the podium places. As we saw Curtis Bird also setting a 51 just now, so no doubt maybe he could just claw his way up to P4 here as we're still on board the back of Antunes looking at Lozano. This time round, however, it looks as though it's Antunes who's actually faster, and he might just be able to chip away more of the gap to Ramos here as we come across the line.
Yeah, still about 1.3 seconds separating these two cars right now. He's trying to get Lozano out of the tow and stop him from being able to catch up, which extends the gap between these three cars even further right now. You can see that Ramos on two wheels there and exiting Paddock Hill. Again, it's very difficult to say whether or not we'll be able to see a last lap battle if this continues, as right now Lozano still trying his damnedest catch up to Antunes.
Yep. We saw that previous comparison to the sector splits. Across the line when Lozano and Antunes, only 300s separating the both of them as they cross the line. So really then, the gap, you cannot even put a piece of paper between them. It is that close between the two of them. Well, in fact, 51.2 for Antunes, 51.5 for Lozano. So it actually accumulates the sectors altogether. So faster that time around for Lozano across the line in the final sector. Let's see across this time around, looking at the timing screens, it is going to be, well, evenly matched. In fact, Lozano is going to be a bit shocked to find out that Antunes has set a fastest lap. He's bettered him, whereas Lozano sets almost the exact same lap time as his previous best across the line, 51.1, 51 flat for Antunes. Looks as though between all three of them, we're going to get that grandstand finish, Damon.
Yeah, the gap is now below a second, below 8/10 even. You can see Ramos there under a little bit of pressure from Antunes. He's right on his tail right now. Probably wasn't expecting for him to close the gap so quickly right now. Maybe under a little bit of pressure coming up to lap 20 as we enter the start finish straight.
Let's see that. We can see the sector times comparing here. This is actually the best way to know when the gap is closing. You can see visually as well, but in terms of the numbers, it looks as though it is going to be even closer. 5/10s now in it between them. 3/10s that time to the good for Antunes and as well as Lozano. So that is the top three within shot. 1, 2, 3 here. Ramos, Antunes, and Lozano. 1.1 seconds. They cannot get any better than this, isn't it? 4 laps to go, and it's still not certain who's going to win it.
Yeah, definitely. We see Diego is actually in the comments right now, just explaining what happened during the crash. We're going to have to talk about him starting on pole position, and hopefully he'll be able to hold on to the lead this time. Right now, of course, battle between Ramos and Antunes is heating up. They're less than half a second apart right now, coming into the final 3 laps of the race. Ooh, we're about to see something. We're about to see some intense stuff.
Yes. 3 laps to go then. This is squeaky bump time here. And I thought Gerardo Ramos was trying to actually break the toe because he was going to the left-hand side of the circuit, right-hand side of our screen. That's actually the normal racing line around. But in qualifying, of course, we mentioned earlier, he actually has the car on the right as Ramos had a bit of a slide coming through Druids there, but looks a bit David.
Yeah, even with such low power, these cars, they are still rear-wheel drive. They are prone to losing control if you're not careful with your throttle and steering inputs. And Antunes is taking this opportunity to close the gap even further. They're now almost bumper to bumper, less than half a second, about 4/10s, 3/10s separating these two cars right now. And we're definitely going to see something happen right now as we enter the penultimate lap of Heat 1.
Yep. Right, so let's go here. You can see Antunes actually could afford a bit of a smile. Meanwhile, Ramos is probably a bit more sedated here because he knows full well the win's on the line. But Antunes got a bit to his team. Can he hold the line on the inside there? Does Ramos? Yes, he does. He keeps it narrow coming up to Druids. And looks as though leaves the door open for Lozano behind. So he's both the attacker and the one who's being attacked today.
Yeah, definitely. He's being assaulted on both sides right now. He'll be able to maintain the pressure right now because what he's seeing in front of him is the bumper of Geraldo Ramos. Less than 2/10s is now separating them. Had to go a little bit wide there, might lose a little bit of momentum, but he does not seem to have the better exit coming out there. Ramos, again, extending the lead, and we're coming out to the last lap. I think, Ambo, you can take it away for the last lap battle here.
Certainly, white flag flies here as Ramos, Antunes, and Lozano across the line. They go 51.6 for the 2 men in front with a 51.3 for Lozano. No doubt, this time around, it's Lozano who's the fastest. Ramos doesn't throw a ball coming into Druids, probably because if he goes narrow again, he might just leave himself open coming out to Graham Hill Bend. So, Lozano now is attacking Antunes, coming up into Graham Hill Bend. On the inside he goes! Cuts across there, does Antunes, and holds on to it. That's Lozano's chance of actually going on to the top 2. Done because he's lost a lot of momentum, but the win is still on here for for Ramos and Antunes. Where's Ramos gonna go? He doesn't have to go narrow. In fact, he takes the normal racing line, and somehow, throughout of all of that, he manages to stave off the attacks of both Antunes and Lozano. There he is, and Antunes is not happy with himself there. He went so wide coming out of Clark curve. Checker flag flies, and Ramos takes the win, half a second ahead of Antunes. Lozano in third. The top three separated by just 1.1 seconds. There's the rest of the field coming through. Reales and Bird, 2 seconds apart from each other as well. The last of the finishes, as Diego Villarreal, unfortunately, is out of the race, as we also talked about it just now, because he is actually now in the comment section with us. Renato Parra, the last of the drivers to be classified here, will be no doubt a bit disappointed that he lost so much momentum after such a promising start. As he comes across the line now, finishes in P6, and that, Damon, is the end of Heat 1, of what was a very exciting conclusion to the race.
Yeah, definitely. You could even see it in the driver cams. Both Antunes and Ramos were getting quite animated near the end there. I think Ramos was feeling a little heat, but he can breathe a sigh of relief for winning Heat 1. Fastest lap, however, does go to Daniel Antunes with a time of 51.102, which is amazingly fast.
Certainly is a blinding quick one, and remember, he did that 51 flat in the race, in the heat itself, so amazing stuff. Then he manages to match qualifying pace in the race. Ramos, your winner, half a second ahead, with Lozano in third, 1.2 seconds behind. Reales, Bird, Parra, and Villarreal under your 7 drivers that start the year. Now we flip the script. There is Diego Villarreal up in front. No doubt he will have fire in his belly now, knowing that a win is certainly on the cards here. So, revs rise, waiting for the green flag to fly. The marshal on the left-hand side of the screen. Driver's right will be actually flying the flag, and there it is. Green flag waves, and a slight shunt there between Curtis Bird and Mauricio Reales. But it looks as though it's the same case as before. Because of the starting line being a bit uphill, the drivers actually struggled to get it off the line. But it doesn't matter now. The drivers have gained enough momentum coming through. Graham Hill, Paddock Hill Bend come up to Druids for the first time. It's Antunes up to second. No doubt he'll be G'd up after that P2 result in the first heat. He wants to actually win the second one. Reales under attack from Lozano. He's going to be a bit of a cock in the bottom. Ramos, the Heat 1 winner, on the inside of Lozano, coming out to the final corner. Final few corners here. Side by side they go. Looks as though, once again, clean start, David.
Yeah, well, clean is a very subjective term. There was a little bit of body contact there, but without any big incidents, yeah, I would agree with you. Curtis Bird there holding on to second place, but Antunes is waiting to make a move right now. Does have the inside track coming into Paddock Hill curve. Goes for the pass to see if he can make it stick. Takes the inside, clips the apex, and just makes it look easy on the overtake.
Yeah, Curtis Bird, of course, having
here
VR.
comes Reales.
You can see he is. Yep. Bird is on the VR again. He actually was looking it out like a hawk to see what kind of opportunities will happen. In fact, he flashes his lights towards Reales. Probably he wasn't happy of being dive bombed, but in all fairness, it was actually relatively smooth maneuver from Reales to get out to P3. But and he explains that the both of them actually started squabbling, and it's going to invite the other guys behind, the likes of Lozano, Ramos, and Parra, into play, with Antunes looking to make a beeline for it up to P1.
Yeah, we might see some tempers flare here. Curtis Bird losing 2 positions within the first 2 corners of the track right now. He's definitely not going to be happy with that. Lozano is also waiting for a chance to strike. Oh, here it comes onto Reales' tail. Reales braked a little bit too much there, I reckon, giving Bird the opportunity to take the inside track. Goes in for the overtake, but here comes Lozano as well. There are 4 cars going too wide each on the track, and forcing Reales out is Curtis Bird, giving Lozano an opportunity to make a pass as well. He gains position, Reales drops 2, and Ramos gets forced near the back. Reales as well. Reales is now dead last there. He ended up spinning.
Oh, that is devastating, especially on a short circuit like this, where time is of the essence. And you can see 8 seconds now, he's basically still at the halfway point of the circuit, whereas the other drivers have actually almost crossed the start-finish line. The lead has changed hands, though. Diego Villarreal has let Daniel Antunes through, but no doubt he's still gonna actually fight for it. He flashes his lights, trying to pressure Antunes into a mistake, but it might just be for naught here because Antunes is setting the pace. 51.4 that time around, way faster than some of the other drivers who were squabbling further behind, coming through as Reales, as evidenced by that spin, 1:03. No doubt he will be settling for P7 right now, unless, of course, in front of him, all 6 drivers get into a squabble and just open out the pathway like Moses in the Red Sea.
Yeah, and we also have to remember the fact that Antunes is the highest iRacing driver here with 9k points as well. So he's definitely been around the bush a couple of hundred times. I think probably knows exactly what to do in situations such as these. Lozano there now trying to make a move on Curtis Bird. They were squabbling since the last lap. We'll see if he'll be able to make something happen. He is in the tow into the start-finish straight as they're coming into Paddock Hill right now. Seems to be a little bit faster on the entry. Curtis Bird blocking him a little bit there, bringing a bit of a defense, doing a bit of a defensive maneuver, but managing to keep him at bay for now. Lozano trying to look on the inside, hasn't been able to do so just yet, but definitely pressuring Curtis, trying to force him into making an error.
Yeah, and in fact, Lozano had the fastest lap that time around, so the tow did help out a bit at 51.1. But again, it seems as though the only way to get through here at Brands Hatch is to pressure someone into a mistake. And we've seen a couple of instances where drivers went a bit wide, and there is Lozano. There is Lozano on the inside. Just as I said, someone going wide. Bird actually opens up the door for Lozano on the inside. He takes the narrow line, which is the fastest way here, especially in qualifying, but it also helps with overtaking. And you can see Bird just shaking his head there, a bit in disbelief that he actually let that one slip. But if he actually was to be a bit ballsy coming onto the inside, coming out to Druids, might want to fancy his chances, but no, he actually leaves it that time round, as behind Para and Ramos also engaged a little battle. So Ramos hasn't had the best of progress that he would have hoped after winning that first heat. There he is behind Nata Para, 10th behind to be exact. Gets a better exit around Graham Hill Bend that time around, goes on the inside, and just as that, takes away P5 from Para, and now again he's going to set in sight on the battling Lozano and Bird.
Making it look super easy is Ramos in an overtake. Now, if he can do 4 more of those, he'll be comfortably in the lead, but he's really far back right now. I don't think he'll be able to catch up just yet, but we have to see what the time deltas are like. Ramos is at 51.7, so he is outperforming Curtis Bird. However, Curtis did not have the best start to that last lap, so maybe it was just a fluke. We'll have to see. Right now, he's trying to close the gap onto Lozano, but Ramos is trying to close the gap onto him. Para, not happy with that overtake, is also trying to contest P5 back for Ramos. Meanwhile, up in front, Antunes is comfortably extending the lead in front of Villarreal, and Lozano is also trying his best to keep up.
Yeah, in fact, 8/10s now to the good for Antunes to Villarreal. Lozano behind about another 1.7 seconds to Villarreal, so Antunes is not actually pulling away as much as we were thinking. So Villarreal might still have a bit of a chance here as they come across that time around. It looks as though Villarreal might be just slightly faster. Oh, very close, 200s. Nearly, it's just less than 200s in it between the two of them. So no doubt the pace between these two guys are about the same. Lozano for a couple of tenths behind, matching the times that Bird has set. Ramos 51.7, so really it's quite close in it between the top 5. Renata Parra and Mauricio Reales just playing it here to be not taking the silver spoon, but it looks as though Parra might be in a safer position there, being 9 seconds ahead. Now, the end of lap 8 here to lap 9. By the looks of it, it is very, very close now. In fact, look at the sector times, 900s faster that time around. Villarreal goes very wide. Luckily, he kept it together. Mercifully, he kept the throttle planted and didn't spin it around, but it might just lose him a bit of time here. There it is, case in point, it did, and that is evidence in lap times, 600s between the two of them, with Lozano just 2,000 behind. Ramos has the fastest lap, 51.1, so he isn't the only one who can actually bring it around here fast. If it looks at Antunes is not the only one to think so like that. Ramos can do it too.
Yeah, and the problem with having a mistake on the very last section of the track is that you don't have the best run up onto the start-finish straight, which means you lose a lot of speed. And again, conservation of momentum, very important right now. You can see the gap is almost extending to about a second between Antunes and Villarreal. Will he be able to narrow the gap? It does look like it, but he gets a nice run up there that time. But the line that he's taking is really teetering on the edge of grip for the GR86.
Certainly, he is really going to the outer extremities, though that didn't affect his sector 3, only 5,000 behind. But again, reflects in the lap times, 2/10 to the good for Antunes. almost 2 tenths to the good for Antunes, ahead of Villarreal. Lozano and the other guys are watching pretty further behind. He's the fastest among those guys outside of the top 2. So, really then, we always say it like this, but there's a bit of a lull period right now. It's just a matter of trying to metronomically get into the lap times and be consistent so that you can actually punch in it and probably be there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a period in time where the gaps between the cars are so wide that there really isn't much room to get into slipstream, which means that a lot of these cars won't be as fast as they would like to be in certain parts of the track. You see that Villarreal about a second behind, and then another second behind him is Lozano, with Curtis Bird another second behind him. Ramos is probably one of the only drivers on the grid actually making like a little bit of progress, but even then it's kind of hampered by the fact that you just don't get the clean air that you like. Sorry, that's the wrong thing to say. The slipstream that you like.
Yeah. Well, you can use the word rarefied air for that, but yes, he's not been able to make the most of start. In fact, probably he was bogged the worst out of all the guys. It has to be. It's the same for everybody, but then again, sometimes you can have certain parts of the track where it's a bit flatter, you get a better run. He unfortunately can make most of that, whereas the guys on the first couple of rows literally had an uphill task, literally and figuratively, right here. We can see right now that hill is the one that causes starts to be a very touchy affair, shall we say, because it could be a point of contention coming to turn 1 as Antunes flicks it up into the air. He is being able to build on the gap right now. He's 3 tenths faster than previously against Villarreal. But look at behind there. Zano now is ready to fight with Villarreal. 7 tenths of a second is separating between them. And this is pretty much take 2, round 2, whichever boxing term you want to actually use for this. They're going to fight it out again. And remember, the race, Heat 1, major collision happened. Villarreal was taken out. Lozano manages to save it and limped all the way to P2 that time round. What's going to happen here this time, Damon?
Oh! You're saying that right now. He literally just pulled up onto the bumper of Diego as I don't know what happened there. Probably got abducted by aliens. The car disappeared for a bit and then returned. But I can see that Diego is feeling a little bit pressured because you can see the lines that they're taking aren't the optimal lines. They're missing a few apexes, going a bit wide, and Lozano with a very wide line. They're trying to gain as much speed as possible. Coming into the Graham Hill corner, tries to make a move right now. He's really breathing down Villarreal's neck, and Villarreal really does not want to concede the position to the guy that took him out last round.
Yep, and the exact same corner that was Druids, but clean at that time. Oh, Lozano just on the bumper. You can see almost BTCC style. You just get onto the back of somebody's bumper. Oh, that's very close for Lozano. That is not what you want. Now remember, when you already collided the first time previously, you do not want a second hit between the two same protagonists. I would just put it out there. As across the line they go that time around. Lozano on the inside, Villarreal on the outside. He opens up the door here, and it looks as though it's a much cleaner maneuver this time around. He just doesn't want any histrionics. Villarreal knows full well he's got a podium here as he's onto the inside. He's gonna try and do it. Very close between the Uruguayan and the Mexican. Mercifully, both of them got away that time, and Lozano probably got a fright of his life.
These two drivers are gonna give me a heart attack, and it's only the start, and it's only the first round, man. I'm not ready for this just yet. I just woke up from a 2-hour nap, and now I have to watch this. I'm on the edge of my seat already watching this happen. But Villarreal, having to concede that position, really didn't want to cause another, really didn't want to be involved in another incident and get taken out of the race yet again. He's going to have to be comfortable with 3rd place right now as we're past the halfway point of the race. Lozano, that now his job is to try and extend the gap, but because Villarreal is now behind him, he now has a much better idea of where he can make passes happen. As we go here to Ramos, who has closed the gap between him and Curtis Bird from 2 seconds down all the way to 4 tenths. As they're coming into Druids right now, he's probably going to try and make a move that Curtis goes a little bit wide. Might give Ramos a better exit there as they come into the Graham Hill corner. Will he be able to make a move that's still not close enough? I don't reckon, unless Curtis doesn't really give him space there. Whoa, what a great exit from Ramos there. Holding up almost side by side with Curtis Bird, takes the pass. Will he be able to make it stick there? He was diving and kept a nice straight line. Then, and just like that, he makes the pass look like kindergarten.
Oh wow, that's probably the first time I've seen Gerardo actually crack a smile there, but he's happy with that move, no doubt, but he's lost a lot of time being behind Curtis Bird, as Curtis now, no doubt, will try to retaliate back here after what we can essentially say was a great run by Ramos out of Graham Hill Bend. He really caught Curtis napping there. Now Curtis going to fight back, but by the looks of it, Ramos has now got the bit between his teeth. He is essentially going to be pulling away bit by bit through every single corner. As we can see, two battles in one in that one shot for a second between Lozano and Villarreal, but Villarreal, by the looks of it, is not going to be taking that one lying either. He's conceding a bit of time to the Mexican in front, but still on it between these two, and that nearly came a cropper a few laps ago when he dived on the inside, or looked to dive on the inside there, Damon.
Yeah, definitely. And with all the kerfuffle that's going on between these two cars, Antunes is taking this opportunity to extend the gap to a considerable amount. Now 3 seconds in front of Lozano there. Villarreal is going to try and make something happen, but he has to close the gap down. It's extending bit by bit as we progress through the laps. We're on the last third of the race right now. We've got about 6 laps remaining. He has to make a move somewhere because Ramos is actually closing the gap quite substantially.
Yeah, but not so much to worry him because, again, despite being a short track, 2 seconds is actually worth a lot, if anything, in the pocket. So unless a major mistake happens, then that will allow the guys behind to catch up. But for the time being, Villarreal still hangs on to P3. 2:10 slower that time around to Lozano. 1.1 seconds the gap now. Whereas Lozano's also slightly slower that time. He's losing time to Antunes. So top three, stalemate as it is gonna probably be thinking about going into the go gear towards the end of the race heat. Whereas Curtis Bird, no doubt, will be still challenging here. Oh, if just a second in between himself and Gerardo Ramos. Up in front though, not really trouble one bit, is Daniel Antunes, 3.3 seconds ahead of Mauricio Lozano and Diego Villarreal. Really, it's just stabilizing out, isn't it? 5 positions gain. He will just be hanging back here, not really going to push in the final 5 laps that we have here. 51.2 that time round. Same with Lozano. 51.7 for Diego Villarreal, so he lost a bit of time. Ramos is another 51.2. Bird is a 51.5. Yeah, everything's really boilerplate right now. Really, really placid, shall we say. Yes, and in fact, someone's asking, is that a Go livery? It is. It is actually a reference to probably one of the Aston Martin liveries that was ran in the Golf 12 hours in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, quite a nice touch, and the Golf colors really do stand out, don't they, Damon?
Yeah, definitely an iconic color dating back all the way to like the 1960s with the or GT40 cars. Saying that, however, right now we are. You did mention that 2 seconds is a substantial gap to close, but it was just 1 lap, and Ramos took out 7/10 of that gap. So I'm probably like almost sure that there might be a certain another last lap battle. Ramos trying to make a move on Villarreal there. Hopefully he'll be able to keep it under control as the gap now goes below 1.5 seconds. Villarreal is probably going to be a little bit pressured when they're approaching yellow car of Ramos.
Yep, Nico Bellic, yellow car, but yeah, a bit of a slight difference here between that particular universe and this one. At least we don't have gunfire here. The drivers can actually just come through it safely without shooting each other through those stunt races in Grand Theft Auto Online. But again, it's a bit placid, isn't it? Because we had quite a close finish, a dramatic one at that, towards the end of heat number 1. But heat 2, slightly more tepid and just more strung out. So we're just really taking away the laps here, coming up towards the end. We're focusing on any enthusiasts. Oh, Ramos is now 9/10 of a second behind you. Quick to point that out, Damon.
Yeah, I told you 2 seconds is nothing for Ramos, man. He'll close that gap as best as he can. Right now, as we go over to the battle right now, look at that. He's already right on the bumper of Diego Villarreal.
Yep, coming up to the final sector into the penultimate lap next time by. The sector times really tell you the story, isn't it? A 10th faster in sector 1, 4 tenths, nearly half a second faster in sector 2, and you can see Villarreal is chuckling a bit. He knows that it's fast here. The fast approaching Ramos coming out to the back. 310, so 51 flat, nearly into the 50s. Ramos really is showing that he's got a pace here. It's just unfortunate he didn't go off to the best of starts. He wasn't challenging the lead from the get-go. He is now at least going to settle for P3. And regardless of whatever happens towards the end, that's a very fast drive. But it's also a case of what might have been. We saw him overtake Bird previously on this corner, coming up to clearways. And McLaren, he's up to the bumper. Villarreal, where's he gonna go? He goes around the outside, touches, but luckily not enough to actually cause a spin. And both live to fight another lap as we are now coming into the final lap here. White flag flies. This is the closest battle on track. We said that he was a bit tepid, but nothing but aggression here towards the end. As Ramos takes on the inside, coming to the paddock hill bend, and Villarreal leaves the door open big time. He didn't want to go narrow because he knows that going narrow might be dangerous, and he played that game well, but unfortunately, Ramos didn't really want to play ball to be safe. He wants to dive on the inside, takes away P3, but Villarreal still no doubt is not going to give up on that. Still a couple of corners left here, and the slipstream first towards the line to actually take it. But whatever happens up in front, it has been quite quiet as this is Daniel Antunes across the line to take victory in heat number 2, and happy with that one. It's a contrast of emotion compared to what happened in heat number 1, where he was very disappointed to run a bit wide chasing Gerardo Ramos. He will be very over the moon here. Cross the line he goes, 3.5 seconds in front of Lozano with Ramos in P3. So in essence, the top 3 is about the same, but you just flip first and third around. Is the same point that we had there. Villarreal in 4th, happier than compared to what happened to heat 1. Curtis Bird in 5th, Renato Parra in 6th, and the only big victim that lost out big time is Marcelo Reales. He's going to come across the line, rather this goes to the 7th. So that's it. That's your field that completed both heats here in AMX1, the light category at Brands Hatch Indy, and we're going to review the results. But Damon, what was the big takeaway from this one?
Antunes is a very fast driver at the end.
Indeed, a very fast guy. In fact, he was fastest. He was holding the fast lap until Gerardo Ramos stole it right to death as he was fighting with Diego Villarreal. Only 7/10 separating between those two, and he came across the line. But Antunes was just untouched ever since he took the lead away from Marcelo Reales up in front. Second is Lozano. No doubt will be a bit disappointed with the result after showing some real initial pace there. Another 3.5 seconds behind, but 3.5 seconds ahead of Gerardo Ramos. Villarreal in 4th, Bird 5th, Parra 6th, and Reales 7th. And that is your top 7 from both heats. Wow, exciting racing, but it's gonna get even better after this when we go into heat number 2. That's gonna sorry, not heat number 2. The second race of the night in AMX 10 that's gonna come out after this. But until then, there's our sponsors at the bottom from Automatics, BenQ, Next Level Racing, and of course the Korean Auto Racing Association, a member of the FIA ASN of Korea, to look over the stewarding after this. Final thoughts before we get into a short break to get into AMX 10?
I'm happy that all of the cars managed to actually finish Heat 2. We do have had some incidents where a lot of drivers couldn't actually finish the race due to incidents on track. And I'm actually happy that all the drivers managed to finish this time around. It's satisfying to see. I don't like to see DNFs on the board.
Certainly, and 100% finish rate for everyone. Okay, maybe 97.5% because we had to take into account that Villarreal couldn't really finish, or maybe he finished that first race. Checking back at the results, yeah, but he was 11 laps behind, so I don't know what is the percentage of a race completion that you need to do to get points. But either way, that's AMX1 done. We can see at the bottom of our screens here are all of our socials, from Instagram all the way to TikTok. We are on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, /X, Discord, YouTube, of course, where we broadcast the races as you're watching right now, alongside Twitch. You can sign up for races on amxrace.com. And of course, you can see some of the short form content from the overtakes to the crashes and everything in between posted on TikTok. But that's the end of AMX1 here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. We'll be right back after a short word from our sponsors, and then we'll be rubbing our hands in glee to see what is going to be on offer in AMX 10. But don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
We must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Hello and welcome then to Season 4 for AMX Global Series. This is the AMX 10 Front-Wheel Drive Championship. And what a location that we have in prospect here. You can see in the background, it's the Silverstone circuit here in Northamptonshire, and it's in the TCR cars. What an incredible race we have in prospect here, because TCRs are on a Grand Prix circuit, and we're going to add to that, it's a Grand Prix circuit where they use part of it with the BTCC layout. So, another short circuit then, it's going to be frenetic and with a big field of cars. No doubt, Damon, it's going to be an absolutely big one.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these cars can do, especially on a track as world-renowned as Silverstone. Really excited to see, because we have a large grid tonight.
Indeed. You can see that the live timing screens that we have in our disposal, that you can, you folks at home can also QR code after this once we get to the action. 20 cars to be exact. So there is a distinct possibility that those drivers who qualify outside of the top 15 will not be able to start on the front row of the grid when they flick the script of his head. But as the social media shows on the bottom of the screen, from Instagram, Twitch, Twitter/X, Discord, live on YouTube, as well as Twitch on the site, and register now. You can actually still register to join AMX 10, the AMX 10 grid via amxrace.com, and of course afterwards the AMX Global TikTok to see the short form content. Now then, before we get into the heat of the action, let's go through a bit of housekeeping here as we see what is at stake for the drivers. First up, it's the dates where we run from January 27th all the way to the 21st of April. A prize pool of $20,000, and what's at stake at the end of the season as well, other than the cash prize, is a next level racing gear, either rigs or whatever that the company offers. That will be at the end of the season. A variety of cars and tracks will be racing on, and this is no different. This is the first time, I think, by my count, we are racing at Silverstone this season. With the race format familiar to a lot of people in iRacing, portion of AMX Global, 20-minute qualifier. We flip the script on its head, especially given the fact that we have a 20-car grid here tonight. The top 15 do get reversed proper for a 20-minute first heat. Then, the results from that first heat will flip it again from the top 15 for the second heat of 20 minutes. Prize amounts for every standing, same for every session. And this is the other part of the overview where driver camps, of course, especially given the fact this is a pro championship, it's going to be required. Payout balances over $100 paid out each month. And we'll be racing on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, where you can sign up anytime, as I mentioned earlier, on amxrace.com. Right then, we know that what's at stake overview here. Here are the times that you can race on, and it's pretty much the same for the entire season: Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 5:50 p.m. for AMX 1, 7:20 p.m. for AMX 10. And no doubt, everyone will be perked and awake now, knowing that it's a full house here tonight. Next up then is the prize pool, what's at stake for the drivers. As you can see there, a lot. $2,000, 2,000 I rating is the minimum here, so we're going to have really competent drivers on board with a minimum total prize pool of $500, $30 for qualifying the fastest, and if you manage to somehow win it despite starting 15th on the grid, you get $30 again for your troubles, with an additional bonus of $4 up for grabs if you get the fastest lap. And same thing for race number 2, heat number 2, with the top 15 being reversed that time as well. So that's the money at stake now. Here are the drivers who have been the proponents of getting that cash prize up for grabs here. It's Gar Valero, after such a strong, well, somewhat strong appearance last time out in Daytona when we were racing the GTPs. He still managed to actually gain the points ahead of his teammate, one-time teammate Kieran Harrison, with Aaron Vasquez in third place behind Harrison. But where's Quentin Guinness? Well, there he is in P5, the season champion from last season. Has been focusing mostly on TCRs, but no doubt he is still quite a threat. Pro Jackson standing in 6th, and Dino Filippa in between there in 4th. Rest of the field, Kulhavi, Damori, Zeblini, Leonard, Peter Zuba, who was also one of our contributors in the comments, and Brazilian Pedro Dean round out your top 12 here for the AMX 10 top 12 table for now. And of course, that was the overall table. This is actually the overview of the mini championship within the championship that we have in the top 10. So, from Toby Sariano, Gonzalo Fabi, Verone, Naj, Aguiar, Leitner, Filippa, Valero, and Guinness all are looking in front right now, trying to go after the current P1, Kieran Harrison, who jumped up 2 positions from the last time that we were racing TCRs, and that was a madhouse and a half, wasn't it, when we were racing in Perez at one point. But different situation now, as we have a championship still to be decided here in this mini one. Here are promotions though for those drivers who are looking to get in on the action and join the guys here today, or maybe next time, whichever tickles your fancy. The D3 promotion on your left is a purchase entry fee. You can purchase the entry fee 3 days before the race and get up to 30% off, which pertains to all the AMX Season 4 races. But if you want to go a few steps better, you can also go to amxrace.com for the Season DC tickets that will have season entry tickets available for purchase, and these tickets are available for each class, a total of 6. As we remind you, it's AMX 1 and 10, but it's the subclasses that count here. So you can purchase for that, and you get 50% off for all the races of each purchase class. Now then, with the housekeeping out of the way, and that was a very lengthy one as well to get the nitty-gritty into it, we now go to the track and car combos that we're going to go in. So Damon, take it away for this one.
Thank you very much, Amir. Yes, today we are on the Silverstone circuit, but not the GP layout. In fact, we are going to be on the shorter national layout. Silverstone, of course, is a world-renowned track opened all the way back in 1948. We've got a very short layout here tonight, only encompassing about half the track, which means it doesn't cut through Chapel. In fact, it just cuts over straight in from Maggots into the Wellington Straight and then loops back around for a lap. So very short, very wide course with a lot of high-speed sections for these drivers. So we might see some pretty intense racing going on later on. As for the cars they'll be driving, well, I say cars. There's only one car that they'll be driving tonight in the TCR class, and that is, of course, the Audi RS3 LMS TCR car. One of the best cars in class for TCR. About 350 horsepower front-wheel drive, sequential gearbox, lots of aero, short range gears, very quick acceleration, and a very good top end as well. So it's no surprise that this is the car of choice for all of the drivers on the grid today. So we're going to see a one-make race, but it will still be a fun one to watch.
Certainly, Damon, and it will be no less competitive because everyone will be on board here. As we can see, the 2 Hyundais on offer. Unfortunately, no one's chosen that. And some of the comments, driver cams, as you mentioned, no BMWs. Well, you can't blame the organizers of the league for this one. You had to go straight to iRacing on why we still don't have the BMWs, especially the ones that we saw in the BTCC, but completely different regulations, of course. So we'll wait and see. We still have the 235i's for company, but again, completely different class of cars. Anyway, that is all the prep out of the way, the preliminaries and the stuff we need to get out to go. We are going to go into qualifying straight away, and on board now in one of those set Audis, we're actually with Kieran Harrison, the championship leader, who is no doubt following the guys in front probably to check the street as we go now under the bridge onto the Wellington Straight. And this is normally the final few corners of the GT layout and what used to be the Grand Prix circuit, but this is actually the back straight on the current Grand Prix layout as one of the cars come through on the side. That might have been Zilat Naj. Naj was actually giving way. As you can see, the list of drivers on the grid. Quite a collecting mix, but up in front. We mentioned earlier how Corentin Guinness is going to be a threat. He is up in front and one of the second highest rated drivers in terms of iRating. But the highest rated driver in iRating is in fact Gar Valero, but Valero is behind at the moment of his fellow countrymen. There's Kieran Harrison in your inset, about 400ths of a second behind Corentin Guinness. That really is tight. And we no doubt we saw already previously how so many cars can be split in just a fraction of a second. First to 20th all the way to Nico Godoy, just separated by 1.1 seconds, Damon.
Yeah, it's insane how close these cars are, these drivers are to one another. A lot of these will have to do with the fact that in open qualifying, you get to use slipstream as an advantage for these cars as well, especially on the high speed sections, of which, even for this layout, there are a lot of, there's 2 long straights, the start-finish straight as well as the Wellington Straight, which gives them a lot of time to open the tabs and hopefully find the lines that they need and the speed that they need instead of fast lap there. Kieran Harrison making it past one of the drivers there, shooting all the way to the top of the leaderboard with a blistering lap of almost 1 minute flat.
Yep, nearly into the 59s, 100th ahead, exactly 100 ahead of Gar Valero. As you can see, if you look at the bottom of the screens, if you see a green bar, purple bar, yellow bar, that's indicator of your fastest lap in the session or sector, depending on how fast you're going. Personal best for greens, and yellow means like there's not much of an improvement, but you can still find time elsewhere, so you can end up in the green. And judging by our timing screens right now, saw at least 4 drivers in fact, having the exact same time, but currently 2 Argentines, Aguiar and Chico, are holding the best times. In fact, Santiago Aguiar is faster here by virtue of the fact that he set the light time earlier compared to Chico, so that's why he's above the other. Now then, there was a couple of drivers that we thought behind the scenes that was actually Russian drivers, and one of them is Nicolas Verone, current World Endurance Champion in the GTE AM category, the last ever one actually. He comes into the new season as pretty much like other drivers, fresh. It's just GTE cars in. He was alongside Nicky Kasberg and the very fast bronze AM driver, shall we say, but he is a super AM, Ben Keating. So really, no slouch in diving talent. He has driven single-seaters, but it looks as though he's found his calling in GT racing. But P5 right now, he's no slouch in touring cars either, as a lot of the times are still tumbling. And the gap from first to 20th is still 1.2 seconds, David.
Yeah, definitely a lot of star-studded talent here on display here at AMX 10. It's been a treat to see these drivers race, and most of the time it's been fairly clean, aside from a few big incidents. We just have to wait and see whether the track itself lends to these incidents. Well, I'm not too particularly worried because it is Silverstone. It is much wider than a lot of the tracks that I've seen so far in the times I've spent in AMX 10. So hopefully they'll be able to keep it nice and tidy through the race.
Absolutely. And big wide enough areas. I think the track width is about close to 20 meters end to end, especially coming through the start-finish line here into the first corner at Stowe. No, it's not Stowe actually. It's I forgot the name of the first corner. Cops, where infamously we can remember what happened in 2021 with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen right there. So let's hope no one ends up the same as we look at one of the Team Red Line cars with the Verstappen colors on the side, incidentally. Fabien Lebig. Florian Lebrige. So that's how you pronounce his name apparently, and I've heard that from a podcast just now as we were coming into here. So Lebrige, a very young driver in fact. He doesn't look like his age to be honest, but really fast guy. Only about, what, 700, no, just a 10 under Kieran Harrison, behind Kieran Harrison. Really, just warming it up, ready to go by as Gal Valero passes by. His fellow countrymen, 3 Frenchmen up in the top 5. Same time, but amazingly, I don't know how Guinness ended up in front of Valero because Valero set that time first.
Oh, but aside from that, look at Kieran Harrison. He actually improved on his best time by 0.04 of a second. Amazing lap time from him there. Almost down the field. Oh, Gal Valero with a 59.9. Oh my god, that's insane.
Where did that come from? Maybe it was the slipstream. It didn't look like a particularly fast time because as we were on board just now with Florian Lebrige, he actually was overtaking him. Somehow manages to get it up into the 59s. The only driver in the 59s as the track is getting faster, no doubt. With the lap times here, we're seeing partly cloudy, low temperatures. No wonder it's 18.8 degrees ambient temperature, 21.1 degrees track temperature. It's no wonder that the times are actually tumbling. But first to 20th, still we have to highlight this, just separated by a second. The TCR class is without shadow of a doubt the most competitive class here today, and I gotta stop saying no doubt because I'm hearing myself now.
I mean, you could say the TCR class is very competitive, or you could say the Audi RS3s are very competitive.
Yeah, one mix series does end up doing that because, you know, it does make the field closer. You don't have variations like which car's faster through corners or which car's faster to straight. Everyone has equal equipment, and that is why we're getting these very close times. Nico Godoy just running out the silver spoon here. As you look at the really snazzy livery of Aaron Vasquez, who is perennial challenger to Kieran Harrison, Gal Valero, and currently Guinness and all them boys at the front, driving with the Oreo colored car with the Got Milks sign on the top. So any of our American viewers, especially the ones that we have been commentating on here, will definitely be feeling familiar with that particular name, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just looking at the deltas between all these drivers right now. Less than a second in between an entire 20 car grid. So you know for a fact that we're going to see some very close racing later on. Hopefully not too close to the point of touching, of course. But we definitely want to see a lot of exciting stuff happening.
Rubbing our heads in glee, waiting for that to happen, aren't we, Damon? With the field being this close, a prospect of a very competitive race is highly up there. And with the cars being the same, it is showing why 1-minute races really make the most fun races. As we see Florian Lebrige coming across the line, no improvement as of yet. Still in P6 behind Gonzalo Fabi, Dino Felipa, Corentin Guinness, Kieran Harrison, and the only one still in the below the 1 minutes, Gar Valero, with an absolutely astonishing for a lifetime. There is Florian Lebrige on our screen, waving to the camera as well. He's waving at the driver, letting by, or he's actually waving to us because he knows that he's on camera. But whatever it is, thanks for that. Merci, Florian, as he now comes into Brooklands, coming from the Wellington Straight. Really trying to keep the car as tight as possible, but you need to open up the exit because these cars, of course, are front-wheel drive. So if you were to keep it narrow still and yank the wheel, it's not going to turn anymore. You just have to open it up, smoothly caress the car through the corner, back on the power, across the line. Will this be an improvement for Florian?
Ooh.
No, it isn't. No, in fact, Harrison, Valero, and Guinness, all three are in the 59.9s in succession. We saw just now Harrison took it, Valero took it, Guinness took it, and now Harrison took it.
Man, what a contest between these three drivers. And these three drivers, over the course of qualifying throughout the season, have been always very close to one another. Kieran Harrison, of course, unfortunate for him, the last session he joined suffered some network outages that cost him a chance to really be competitive in that particular session. But now he's back, and now he has what it takes to be him.
Certainly, and the championship leader coming into this one, of course, in the subclass in the main championship, the front-wheel drive category. And it's been the most popular one, isn't it? Personally, I'm not really a big fan of front-wheel drive cars. I prefer driving rear-wheel drive, mid-engine preferably. But I've got myself some fair share of competitive races and a couple of wins in TCRS in other games. And I would say it is fun. The racing is close contact. You really do not want to give close quarters to anyone behind. And you can still say race alongside, even if you go a bit narrow or wide. It's just the nature of these cars that provide the racing. And with a track like Silverstone, where it's wide open spaces, no doubt after this, we're going to get ourselves some really good racing. It's just waiting glee right now, but we still have to get qualifying away. 1.5 minutes left to go here. Harrison's in front on home soil. He wants to win here. It is just a prerequisite, isn't it? Valero in second, Guinness third. That's your top three. The only ones in the 59s. And running up the rear, Mello, Zampolini, and Godoy. They want to actually not wanting to be taking the silver spoon. Let's see what they can do here in the closing stages of qualifying, Damon.
Yeah, most importantly, Godoy has to make up at least 0.6 of a second in order to make it into the top 15, which is going to be a pretty difficult ask, especially considering how fast a lot of these drivers are. We're here with Fredes, which I really like that black and gold livery on that RS3 there. It makes it look really classy.
Yep, the Voracious Racing team, they are regulars in the championship in previous seasons, but haven't seen much of the other drivers involved here, apart from now Fredes, as he comes around the final corner here through Abbey onto the start-finish straight, which is a bit of a short straight anyway, not much of a straight. Through Luffield, across the start-finish line now. Would this be an improvement for him by the looks of it? Holding our breaths here and collectively, no. It's not an improvement. He still stays in P12 as qualifying comes to an end. Harrison, Valero, Guinness. That is a familiar top three. It's like Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas at one point, where it's just the three of them at the front. Qualifying comes to an end. You can run through the grid here, Damon, but it's a competitive racing prospect. First to all the way to 19th, just under 0.5 of a second. Half a second separate the entire field.
Yeah, insane there. Of course, our session winner here, Kieran Harrison, with a blistering sub 1 minute time, 59.937. Gal Valero, another close to 400s behind him. Guinness, another 5,000s behind him. And they will be starting in P15, P14, and P13 respectively. Dino Felipa rounding it out 4th. Gonzalo Fabi rounding out the top 5. Now we have I'm going to have to learn to pronounce his name. We have Florian in 6th, Nicholas Varone in 7th, Norbert Leitner in 8th, Tilat Naj in 9th, Santiago Aguiar in 10th, Carlos Musta in 11th, Fredes in 12th, Vasquez in 13th, Gaston Kulavi and Pedro Dean rounding up the final 2. So they will be starting on pole for the first heat, and we'll have to see whether our 3 fastest drivers will be able to make it to the front without incident.
Tell you why, because pole is, well, and you can see Zambolini and Godoy just under a second. That's actually still an achievement in itself. That's still very close, but first to 19, half a second. A couple of blinks of an eye, the whole field have gotten through if you were to put it all together in virtual spectator. But that's qualified out of the way. Now is the race. We're gonna run you through the grid again as we flip the script on its head. Pedro D and Gaston Kohavi on pole position in the first row of the grid. Vasquez in 3rd. He is the fast guy here among the pigeons. Fredes in 4th, and then Muesca E5. The butterflies on the stomachs of the drivers. You can hear that the engines are idling. No revving just yet. We're waiting until the very final second here before the start of the first heat. 20 laps. Around Silverstone, and we're underway. Green flag flies, and that's a good start from Pedro Dean. Cuts across immediately to Kulhavi. Kulhavi's not having any of that. He will try to get back here as they come through Pops for the first time. And it looks as though everyone has gotten through cleanly here. All 20 drivers, and we haven't jinxed it just yet, but we're coming into the first real choke point. Part of Maggers and Beckers, we're going to go through a big wide radius here for the hairpin turn, which tightens up on the exit. Looking still clean so far. Bit of a touch there between looks a bit Levish and Felipa, and up in front of Fabi as well. But for the most part, everyone has gotten through here safely and cleanly, Damon.
Yeah, we can't say that until the end of the first lap, however, but it does look like everyone's kept it under control so far. These cars are so close together on the grid, and you can see that. I think that was Nash. He just went off a little bit, lost a bit of position there. Fabi in, dropped down time. Look at how quickly the positions are switching. That's how close these cars are to one another.
Yep, and again, the one big race does create that because every single car is equal. It's just a dependency on the driver to go through. There's Naj on the outside. Just now it was Fredes actually went wide. He lost a bit of momentum, but he gets swamped by the field as everyone goes through. Cops the second time. That is scary. You almost see 3 wide, but it's mostly 2 wide coming through. And once again, because of how competitive the field is, everyone's still in it. Guinness on the inside, and also is Harrison. Harrison tries to come through here through 3 with Fabi on the outside. Between is Levish, and there somehow everyone gets through there unscathed. This is almost like watching BTCC action as Felipa, I think, might have cut the corner there, so that's why he is backing up. Wow, almost running out of breath here. We're only just through the second lap of 20.
Oh man, if the grid stays this close throughout the entire time, we're going to need a lot more water than we do right now. I think out of all of it, Kieran Harrison actually lost a lot of position, was up to 12th at one point, ended up dropping all the way back down to 18th place. Valero did what was in 18th and then got back up again, so I wonder what happened there. I think he was part of a thing that may have went slightly off track. But right now, the story of the hour is Aaron Vasquez, Pedro Dean, and Gaston Kulavi rounding up the top 3, and they're leaving the rest of the pack in the dust.
Yeah, because they're trailing together right now because of the draft. The cars may not have the best drafting properties as compared to, say, NASCAR, where they can drive easily, but no doubt they can still actually go up to the back of each other here. And the 3 of them, the more they work together, the more they're going to sprint out in front as Dean gets overtaken by Vasquez. Vasquez, the fast guy, up in front. For how long? Let's see whether Dean and Kulhavi can challenge that. Meanwhile, further behind, Valero is stuck in between an Argentine sandwich with Perez, Fredes, Melo, and Chico in front and behind him. Coming through is Naj as well, whereas looks as though Valero just nudged one guy away, and a spin! It's Harrison! Harrison's out of it, but gets it back together. Front wheel drive, manages to flick it around without even needing to find reverse.
Oh, that was unfortunate for Harrison. Now down to dead last. I wonder what happened. There might have been a little bit of contact between him and I think it was Dino Felipa he was tangling with earlier on. Right now, the other story is that Muska is actually approaching the top 3 right now. Could be close enough to get to the dust. This is the incident that Kieran Harrison was involved in. I think, yeah, he got tapped in the rear and then hit by one of the drivers at the back there. Oh, that was really unfortunate for him. I think that was Zabolini. Yes, that was indeed Zabolini. And then he just turned it back around, got back into speed. Not that, didn't lose too much time, but starting from last place is definitely a position you don't want to be in.
And at least for consolation, because he got pole position. He would love to actually start from pole here by finishing 15th, where Chico is holding the position right now as a bit of a touch there between Kulhavi and Dean. Dean has lost 2 positions in the space of a couple of laps. Vasquez now trying to build on the lead, half a second ahead, but he's still within that slippery zone where the cars can still suck up to the back of him. Kulhavi, though, has even closer company. There you go, 4 tenths of a second now underneath 5 tenths. Fastest lap, Nicolas Verone, the World Endurance Championship driver, the current champion in GTM, last ever champion in GTM, in fact, with Corvette Racing, that's basically run under Ben Keating's team. He is only a second point 2 behind Muesca. Fastest lap is now gonna fall into the hands of Kieran Harrison, so Harrison wants the extra $4 and 4 points that comes with that fastest lap by just storming his way back through. As now, we were on board with Kulhavi. Up in front, Vasquez is only about 5 tenths of a second ahead. He's still catchable. So is Kulhavi, so is Dean. Muesca is looking onto the inside, teammate to Diego Villarreal, of course, because he's part of the SART team. And as the comment comes through, amazingly clean, apart from that Harrison incident.
I hope you didn't jinx it way too soon by saying that right now. Out of the top 3 qualifiers, the biggest winner out of all this right now is Guinness. You can see that a little bit of contact between Fabi and Aguiar. Managing to keep it clean, keep both cars under control right now.
Yep, Santiago Aguiar, one of the, I'm not sure if it's TC2000 or he's part of the Turismo Pista, the feeder series to TC2000. I saw his name in driver database earlier, but I couldn't point out which championship he does. Just avoided hitting the back of Florian Lebiche with, for the behind. Valera hits the back of Fabi, and that's another Frenchman that Fabi has had to blows with. Remember last time we saw in Jerez how he and Corentin Guinness came to blows in qualifying, and they really went on for the entire round. This time it's Valero, but luckily a slight tap, front wheel drive. He just out the throttle to set it back in the right direction. No hit, no much histrionics there, just a slight tap, nearly losing it, but no doubt he will be a bit miffed by that. He will try to get up to the back of Aguiar and get another few dollars out of it.
Yeah, and the one thing you want to pay attention to in this particular race is look how close the splits are to one another. This is a very, very close race right now.
Yeah, and Aaron Vasquez actually is not leading the way here. We did, however, know that previously probably is not his strongest suit in TCR compared to, say, prototypes or any other forms of cars, even open wheelers. But with him in the lead, he will be feeling a bit more comfortable about it. No, that said, not so comfortable knowing the fact that Gaston Kulhavi is only about 2-3 tenths of a second behind. 9 thousandths off in the first sector, coming out to sector 2. Faster because of the slipstream. Dean and Muesca as well following suit as Muesca tries to go through on the inside of Dean. There's Nicolas Verone, car number 1, and champion in the final ever GTEM category, the World Endurance Championship. Again, has driven all sorts of cars in his career leading up to that drive with Corvette Racing. He was in Formula 3s at one point, racing front-wheel drive cars as well before heading up to the World Endurance Championship. Really, no, in fact, he was a Formula guy. Then he took part in TC2000 before moving and winning that championship. And he won in a open wheel championship. But either way, he's one to watch out for. Only 3 tenths of a second behind Muesca. We're on board with Kulhavi then. Only a tenth of a second behind Vasquez. He's the strongest challenger here to Aaron Vasquez.
Yeah, and while we're talking about this fight right now, I have just noticed that Godoy is out of the race. I wonder what happened there. He was really close to Kieran Harrison at one point and then just ended up dropping out. So I'd like to see what happened there, but we can't pay attention to that now. As they're coming out of the Wellington Straight, Kulhavi is still bumper to bumper with Aaron Vasquez, trying to see if he can make a move happening in a particularly short circuit like this. The low speed sections are the most important bit right now, as he's closing the gap between him and Vasquez. Have a nice run up from the exit of that corner, coming out to the start finish straight. He's in the draft, he's holding up. They're almost touching bumpers right now. Will he be able to make the pass happen at the Cops corner? Doesn't seem like it. He braced a little bit earlier than Vasquez. Vasquez takes this opportunity to extend the gap a little bit, and Kulhavi will have to try his attack another time.
Yeah, but because of that draft, he's actually pulled away from Pedro Dean behind, so it's now 6 tenths of a second between the Argentine and the Brazilian. As Juskeef commented that he wants to eat that Oreo, well, Kulhavi probably is not thinking about that. He wants to actually take a bite of that first place.
Side by
That's
side.
being held by Vasquez. Yes, that was a bit of a slow exit from Vasquez, and Kulhavi does take the lead, Damon.
Unbelievable. That move was an unforced error from Vasquez there, going a little bit wide on that corner and then letting Kohavi through just like that without incident. Very clean overtake, but Vasquez doesn't seem to want to relinquish that position just yet. They're almost right up each other's noses right now. Vasquez has to bank on a good exit in order to make the overtake happen, but look at that. Pedro Dean and Muscar are now closing the gap between them. So now it's a 4-car battle for P1.
And that linchpin happened to be the way that they were battling because Vasquez and Kohavi were so close. When the gap opened up, the cars behind were also chasing up. That's why Pedro Dean is now within earshot, 0.3 of a second. Muesca 0.2 of a second behind Dean, and Verone 2.2 seconds behind, but with the 4 of them battling up in front, he will be closing in due time. Unless, of course, he has to watch out for the battle behind because he's got the Hungarian behind in the form of Norbert Leitner and Florian Lebige, Frenchman. In fact, it's a French trio behind. Guinness, Lebige, and Valero all coming up here to challenge the Hungarian and Brazil, and the Argentine has on the inside. The Spaniard, Aaron Vasquez, looks coming through Woodlands, but no Brooklands, no way through just yet. And behind, Pedro D is weighing his chances too, David.
Yeah, he tried to make a move there, but I think he wasn't expecting Kohavi to break so soon and throw him out of his line. Ended up going a little bit wide, losing a bit of momentum. Gives Pedro Dean the opportunity to stay into the trough, and now less than a tenth behind him is the battle for P1 right now for between Dean, Vasquez, and Kohavi. Muesca also behind him, biding his opportunity. As we see on the pitch, in the picture-in-picture, another battle is happening for P5 right now. Nicolas Varon holding on to P5 right now with Nobeliner. Labige actually makes it through him. That was a pretty insane overtake. A bit of a dive there coming in, but that gives even more cars opportunities to get past that. Guinness is behind Labige. See if he can use the draft out of the Wellington Straight in order to slingshot pass. Makes the pass onto Liner. Oh, a little bit of a shot there. And, Labige goes wide. Guinness takes the opportunity, tries to get another position there. Does stay in front of Labige, but here comes Valero.
And Valero is around the outside of Labige, his fellow countryman. Guinness on the outside, trying to overtake Valero. He turns on the inside, no, in fact, it's Leitner. So Leitner is going to go through side by side. We know how that happened back in 2021 here at the British Grand Prix. But Guinness makes it through. Leitner provides a generous amount of room. His detriment is now in the clutches of Valero and another Frenchman. So all three French drivers have gotten through him. It's almost like he's standing still.
Yeah, definitely. And another story there is Kieran Harrison clawing his way back up to 14th place. So he's going to be in a really comfortable position for Heat 2 later on. It's astounding his drive there actually made it back into P14. So I'm interested to see how far he's got to go. He's not that far behind Nash and Felipe, so he might look for an opportunity there. We got about 8 laps left in the race, coming up into 7, and now the 3 Frenchmen just overtaking the Hungarian look easy. We'll see if he'll be able to make even more progress up in the field.
Yeah, but in front of Guinness is an equally tough cookie to crack, and excuse the pun, of course, because we had an Orient car up in front at one point. Guinness is behind Verone, as we see Valero and Guinness, a classic battle between the 2 Frenchmen and perennial TCR specialists. We no doubt have seen them battle a lot throughout the entirety of last season and this season thus far, with the SimRC driver in front of the Apex Racing driver behind, and is gaining time on the Argentine Verone. It's 0.6 of a second right now between Verone and Guinness. Here's on board with Florian Lebige. He's behind here by only about 0.5 of a second from Valero. It looks as though the French drivers are all working together here. They have a communal sense of understanding of what's at stake. They just want to get as far up as possible without compromising each other's races, David.
Yeah, helping your fellow countrymen is what I would say is happening right now. Doesn't seem like the Argentinians are as cooperative as they are, but of course, being that Guinness and Valero are the 2 fastest drivers in this entire season, I can safely say. Kieran Harrison also just gaining another position behind there. Right now, the battle for P1 is still boiling. Right now, Vasquez is still right on the tip of Kohavi's bumper. That's just trying to find an opportunity to pass. Can't seem to do so just yet, but they're coming into the Wellington Straight now while they're in the draft. Vasquez needs to close the gap by about 1/10 at the end of the Wellington straight into Brooklyn's if he's going to make the pass happen. Look at that. He's going to try and make a move on the inside. Again, not close enough, but he comes back around on the right-hander. Really close. It is really too close to call right now. But every time Vasquez wants to go for a dive, Ulhavi just breaks a little bit sooner and throws him off his pace.
Yep, and that is the race release prerogative. He's not doing anything dirty per se. He's just literally placing the car in the right places at the right time to prevent Vasquez from overtaking, as Valero is now close to the 59s in race pace and with traffic in front. No, in fact, Harrison has betted him that time around. 1 minute 048, where it was a 1 minute 06 for Valero, but we can't mind the time too much because Verone is under immense pressure from Yanez. Yanez goes around the outside, coming through the half corner of Maggots and Beckett's. In fact, it is still called Maggots as they come through the hairpin now onto the Wellington straight, side by side between the Frenchman and the Argentine. Who's going to blink first? Verone is on the inside, Valero's on the outside, Yanez on the outside. Yanez is already ahead, but becomes the inside line for Verone. Can he hold the line? Yes, he does. Valero touches the back of Guinness. Luckily, because it's front-wheel drive, thus he can just accelerate his way out of trouble. But you do not want to have to spin the car sideways and train this stuff out. It will leave the tires.
This is the closest racing I've seen so far, and I mean, I've only been here for 3 sessions, but holy hell, this is really popping off right now as Ines is trying to make a move to Verone, doing a little bit of a swerve to keep him at bay, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's going to try and make a pass happen on the outside, going a little bit wide. They're still side by side as they're coming out to Maggots and Beckett's, coming up into the first left-hand section, into the big right. Verone has the nice line there, but here comes Valero right in the back there. They're almost 3 wide as they're coming up to the Wellington straight right now. Guinness gaining as much distance from the other cars as possible. And just like that, he makes the pass happen, but Valero is also trying to make something happen there. Verone goes a little bit wide there. Valero going in on the inside of Brooklyn's. Does he make the pass happen before the right-hander? Doesn't seem like it. But Verone gets the switchback. A little bit of a dent there you see on Verone's bumper. There might have been a little bit of a tangle there, but they're still side by side as they're coming out to the start-finish straight. The final turn of the lap. Oh my god, this is really too close to call. And Labiche is just right behind them.
Yep, as Labiche goes right outside. Harrison nearly gets into the 59s here as Verone is still fighting valiantly. We saw that was really some good camera shots to find out how different of a line some of these drivers are taking to get by. As we now come to Beckett's again, goes on the inside is Verone. He's defending for position, of course, but he needs the room on the outside. Punches Valero out wide. Valero will probably not taking that line. He would not be appreciative of the fact that he was punted out wide, and Verone is against this. Oh, big accident! Massive accident! Verone is taken out. Labesh is taken out as well. He spins into the crowd, and he has lost the tire. He's flattened out, and for good measure, he has taken out. By the looks of it, I can't see who's that. That was the other car. Fredes and Fabi. Oh wow, it's unfortunate. No, it's Godoy. In fact, Godoy that was taken out in between. That was really unfortunate. Verone, well, we will get replay of that, I'm sure, to see what happened there. That has opened up the race, and for the likes of Kieran Harrison, a really good recovery drive, almost completed. He's now in the middle of that top 15. He's looking to get some more.
This is touring cars, baby! Always expect big incidents when it comes to touring cars. It's like every time these drivers are out in these class of cars, they drive like a man possessed.
Indeed, a man possessed and then some, because how close the gaps were. Now that it's a bit of how it gets very frantic, frenetic, and shambolic even if we get it wrong. And in that particular case for Verone and Laberge, that was completely wrong. As we see again the replay of what happened there in the inset. Oh, what's your call on that though? Because it looks as though Laberge actually cut across Verone and just sent them both into the wall. What's your take on that?
I think it was a little bit of defensive driving on Verone's side, but he just wasn't expecting Labiche to come up on him that quickly. Ended up not being able to defend in time, and then just paying the price for it.
And there's the bystander. It's actually David Perez. So Perez was the innocent bystander in that one. Despite having the United Nations flag, unfortunately he cannot exercise diplomacy that time around to break up the fight. He was involved in it. and as collateral. So yeah, that's unfortunate. He tried to avoid the accident, but the Bush was spinning right in his direction and he had nowhere to go. So unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And for Vasquez, his cookie is still being kept in one piece up in front. But for how long? 3 tenths of a second, as we see Harrison hounding the back of Valero. Despite the spin, he manages to get it up there. This might be a few questions you want to ask after this if Harrison's willing to be interviewed, especially the fact this home soil. But what a recovery drive, though. Amazing stuff from Harrison to be up back in the middle of that top 10 as we are now entering the final lap.
Yeah, great stuff from Harrison, and funny how the top three qualifying drivers are now racing against each other pretty much, as Guinness does extend the gap between him and Valero. He's still a couple of seconds off Muesca and the battle for P1 right now, but I think at this point the battle for P1 is pretty much over. Of course, Vasquez couldn't close the gap in time, but he stays ahead of Pedro Dean and Muesca, so they're going to have to settle for this kind of position there. But Muesca looks like he might want to try something just before the end of the race.
Indeed, he tried to come through Brooklyn's there, but I don't think he has any more opportunities left to try. As meanwhile, Gaston Kulhavi, a complete reversal of what happened to him in Jerez, where he was taken out at turn number 1. He took victory in heat number 2, but this time, heat 1, he takes a valiant victory. Is he going to pump his hands in celebration? Well, not much of a emotion to show there, but no doubt inside he's relatively happy. Got the better of Vasquez in the early stages and never looked back. Second is Vasquez, 13th, 4th Muesca, 5th Guinness, with 6th Harrison, nearly, 6th Valero, 7th Harrison, nearly into the 59s at the end, but he'll take $4 for the fastest lap and won't be complaining about that. Santiago VR in 8th, 9th in the by 10th. Most of the Hungarians, Norbert Leitner in front of his fellow countryman, Zilanaj. And that is it for what was an amazing first race. There's David Perez coming across the line, and Fabio Zampolini also was involved in the skirmishes towards the end there. Will be slightly disappointed to be outside of the top 15. But, Damon, the race truly delivered some amazing action though.
Yeah, I was honestly really impressed with how close it was throughout the entire session. We'll have to see if it repeats itself during Heat 2, of course. Hopefully, we do end up with slightly less incidents, but, you know, touring cars, you really can't say.
Certainly, and we saw just now how incidents are plenty. Even the best of drivers cannot avoid it, and unfortunately for Nicolas Verone and for Leberge, they came a cropper there. They're gonna have to start outside the top 15. But on our screens, Gaston Kohavi, your BenQ session winner, with the fastest lap falling into Kieran Harrison, as we saw towards the end of the race, end of the heat. How amazing that time was. But now, heat number 2, we're all gonna do the exact same thing again, and this time, David Perez is out in pole position. Beside him is Gonzalo Fabi.
Green.
We're waiting for the green flag, and there it is. The radio call just says so. Green flag, we're on the way for the second time and the final time here tonight. It lets us up. Perez didn't get the best of starts. Fabi gets the whole shot into turn number 1 through Cops, and behind them, it's Chico and Melo going through side by side, the Argentines. But in essence, it is Argentinians 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're not sure if Perez is a Spaniard or he could be a fellow Argentine, but whatever it is, he doesn't really matter. He's coming from now! Harrison once again! Harrison's involved in another incident, but amazingly kept it together. Front wheel drive came to the rescue, but there was another car that went up further behind. That might have been Filippa or Zampolini. Didn't see if it was a red car or it was a black car, but whatever it is, Zampolini and Filippa's races have been compromised. As up in front, Fabi, despite the poor start, is going to get through on Perez, but for how long? Because Perez comes back across. Further behind, there is Vasquez going around the outside. Oh, spin! Big one, and that's Verone again! He's going to cut across back onto the track and hit Kulhavi. Kulhavi, the race Heat 1 winner, is going to be sent all the way to the back. It's a reversal of what happened in Jerez, where he was taken out in Heat 1, one in Heat 2. This time he won in Heat 1. He's sent to the back in Heat 2.
Yeah, that was a really bad re-entry there, but there was really nowhere else he could have gone. Verone there, unfortunately, taking out Kulhavi. Kulhavi is going to be starting in 17th place, and in the first lap, we've already got 3 drivers out. How insane is that?
Yeah, we did say that it was clean in the first heat for the most part, but now everything is all kicked up in the second because the fast guys are trying to claw their way back to the front. As meanwhile, we're gonna get a full screen replay of what happened at the start there. As we see Fabi try to line one up again on Perez. This is the replay. You can see on the outside, that's Harrison. Car 29. Oh no! In fact, it looks as though Norbert got hit there. So Norbert Leitner hit from the side of car number 29. Who's that? It's Santiago Aguiar. So Aguiar actually was in essence the crux of why that whole thing happened. And right the outside goes most of the drivers, including Dino Felipe, who's just an innocent bystander of all that. Really, what a crazy, crazy start, David.
It was really unfortunate. I really wonder if he actually turned in expecting a car to be there, or he just didn't see it happening. Could be in a blind spot. We could never know for sure right now. But as a result of that, a lot of the drivers got taken out. Kieran Harrison down to 11th place right now, which means Gal Valero is going to be super happy with that. He's now in P3, fighting against Chico. And you can see the Verone incident on the replay here. He turns right as he re-enters, gets spun out at Brooklands, tries to keep it under control, does manage to straighten out the car, but as he re-enters the track, you can see that not a very great re-entry there.
That's right. No, that's actually good.
Oh, it just happened.
Recently. Yeah, that's why Verone is out of the race. He's actually back in the pits, probably trying to get some quick repairs. But guess who hit him with the side again? It was Florian Leberge. So the two have come together for 2 consecutive heats. Would you believe it? It's all just kicking off. We saw last time how Fabi and Guinness were actually at blows. This time, it's another French and Argentine coming together. Wow, just got scraped as you can see. David Perez is up in front, 0.2 of a second ahead of Gonzalo Fabi. We've got Valero. Both of the fast guys up behind. They are gonna have to be looking at the mirrors here. This is gonna get very tasty.
Tasty probably isn't the right word I used to describe it, but also surprisingly accurate right now as Fabi is looking for an opportunity now to make a pass. Gal Valero not too far behind right now. They're coming into the start-finish straight. I wonder if we're able to get into the slipstream and then make a move at Cops. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Now it's a battle for P1. Chico is a little bit further back. Probably won't be able to take part in that fight right now, as you can see on Perez's car. Just how close the other 2 cars are right behind him as they're coming into Cops right now. Still doesn't seem to be anything happening yet. But again, Beckett's is going to come out soon, so we're going to have to see. There's a move that been a point of contention for somebody for the race so far. Ooh, a little bit of a tap there, and another battle for P8. You can see picture in picture, Kieran Harrison is trying to catch up to Muesca to get that P8 position back.
How you love to win on home soil, by the way, because we did not, apart from that pole position where he got a really a good run in the final few minutes, he's not had the best of heats. And this second heat, again, involving incidents, but miraculously, this time around, kept it together for going forward, but he still has an awful lot to do if he was to try and get a win.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see here the man on the screen right now, Gal Valero. Amazing driver, of course, one of the fastest on the grid we have this time around. He is trying to make a move there. Less than 2 tenths separate him and Gonzalo Fabi. Will he be able to make something happen? We'll have to wait and see again. This is a very short course, so opportunities are aplenty. We just have to see whether or not he can capitalize on any mistakes that Fabio Perez makes.
Certainly, and he does have to worry about Chico behind. He's about 1.5 seconds ahead of him because he's got Guinness, Aguiar, and Vasquez for company. It's like separate trains are being formed. First 3 are up in front on their own. Chico is not in no man's land, but he is well away behind compared to the others as Fabi thinks left, thinks right. So is Valero. Trying to look any way he goes, but for the time being, you can see on our screens right now that's Fabi's view of the action. The LEDs are actually glowing on the screen. That shows when he wants to really accelerate or he's playing some sort of different movie. There it is. It just flashes so brightly on the screen. But Fabi hitting the right acceleration points and gears as he works onto the back of David Perez. So he's got Valero staying on his line. We didn't see Fabi move that time around to actually make the overtake. He was just thinking for it. But it's going to be very close here. United Nations man in front of the French, in front of behind him is a Frenchman and an Argentine. And for the time being, at least, it still stays status course. Aguiar goes through. There's that dive. We saw the end of it in front of Chico. And there's a spin. Oh, that's Guinness.
A little bit of close contact there with these two drivers, and ended up someone did spin, but miraculously Guinness managed to recover it. Of course, with these front wheel drive cars, relatively easy to recover from, but you still end up losing a position. You're not going to be happy with that result.
No siree. And he'll be definitely miffed by whoever took him out that time. But by looks of it, he's not really lost that much time. 8/10 of a second still behind Aaron Vasquez. As on board with Fabi, we are looking left, looking right. He is seeing Valero behind. He goes narrow coming to Cobbs. That it might be a mistake because it loses him momentum. And there you go. Valero with a good exit coming out of Cobbs. But he goes around the outside. He doesn't have anywhere else to go because Fabi held the inside. Valero's ahead. They go through Maggots again. And this is going to be a good line. But he gets shoved out wide. Nearly onto the gravel trap. He gets the line on the outside. And he is ahead as they go through the Wellington Straight. You can see Fabi's looking on his screen as well. Seeing where's the gap here. He looks left, he looks right. By looks of it, he also has a white screen. But it's Fabi on the inside. Holds the line and takes second position. He's setting his sights on the lead. But for how long he can hold on to P2, Damon?
Oh, we have to wait and see. Valero there. Nice clean drive there. Managing to get a good run up on the exit despite being shunted a little bit by Fabi. Fabi now has to drive harder in order to get that position back. But we'll have to wait and see if he concedes. You can see the Guinness incident. He just turns in a little bit too far out and then taps the back of, I think that's
Chico. That was Chico.
Yeah, that might be Chico.
And
Yeah.
And then he got finished off. Yeah. He got finished off by Vasquez for good measure there, but yeah.
A victim of his own machinations, I would say.
Yes. Literally, it's like that meme of you put a wheel in between the bicycle and you get hurt in the end. But anyhow, the battle is still raging on. In fact, it is raging as we speak, as Guinness has given way to Harrison. Where's he gonna go? He's gonna go into the middle. Outside is Chico, inside is Vasquez, with Harrison somewhere in between there. And Guinness tries to pick up the pieces here. He's waiting in. And right outside goes Harrison, coming through the left field. That is normally not on if you're in front-wheel drive car. You need traction in the rear. You're going to go skating out wide, but amazingly carried enough momentum to keep ahead of Guinness. And he's working on the back of Martin. Chico goes on the inside. Let's see if he can make the move stick. We know Hamilton good. Oh, he hits the back! It's the back of Chico. And, well, I was about to mention the whole spiel of Hamilton and Verstappen, but it looks as though Harrison has completely taken out Chico before even reaching the corner.
And that was a really bad swerve. I saw Chico trying to duck right there to stop Harrison from overtaking, but he turned way too hard. And while Harrison was already past his rear bumper, so he ended up catching himself up. And look at that! Another incident happened there, another spin!
And he is out of it completely. He's actually gotten one contact too many. Meanwhile, up in front, there's Harrison on home soil. He's got half the race gone, half the race left to go here to make any inroads to the guys in front. He is fired up. Fastest lap of the race still currently belongs to him right now, and he is a man on a mission. At least one win will do. As we look at the incident between Martin Chico and Corentin Guinness, and well, I think you're right about that particular juncture though. He did cut across a bit too late, trying to defend his line. There goes the rest of the field coming through. Yep. Not to say 100% squarely on Chico's fault, but he could have actually defended a bit earlier there.
Yeah, he definitely had to defend a bit earlier there because there was no way you were going to defend. Harrison was not going to slow down, so you either concede the line or you just, you know, go faster, right?
No, it's Guinness. So, two Frenchmen have hit each other. No, in fact, it was a Frenchman and Argentine. Wow. The amount of French and Argentine hits that we had the past couple of rounds here in the front-wheel drive AMX 10 series has been astonishing to say the least, but because we have the most number of representation from those countries, and that's why, because of their drivers being fast, we see more of these contacts more often. It's just unfortunate that it had to end like that, but then again, racing distance do happen. It's up to the drivers to avoid it. And unfortunately, that time around, Chico paid the ultimate price for just throwing the block slightly later than he would have wanted us. Up in front, Valero has actually got in front of David Perez. So that's Valero's chance to make a beeline for it, David.
Yeah, definitely. And he wants to extend the gap as much as possible, but it will be quite difficult considering these two cars behind him are still in the slipstream. as they're coming out of Beckett's into the Wellington straight. They're still not close enough to make a move happen, but never know, 8 laps left. As long as the gap between them maintains about this distance, it could still be a pretty intense battle for P1.
Certainly, and we had that already in the first race where it didn't go all the way to the wire like close because Kulhavi fended off Vasquez quite well. But no doubt, this is still gonna be a very intense finish. We saw how it was in the AMX 1 race in Brands Hatch just now, wasn't it? How close the first three was in the first heat. This was the second heat, much more at stake. And let's see how David Perez responds to Valero. It looks as though Valero doesn't have the pace to pull away right now because Perez is in the slipstream. He's faster among the 3 drivers in that top 3. Avi still watching green, 3/10 of a second behind, 5/10 from first to third. And how is it gonna play out here? We're a bit wide there from Valero, isn't it? It looks as though it's gonna be a good exit from Perez. Tucks it. He's gonna have to tuck it to the slipstream to stand up any chance of pulling off a move here, Damon.
Yeah, and you can see that I did have a little bit of a faster run up, but it wasn't enough to actually close the distance. But he is extending the gap a little bit from Fabi right now, trying to keep him away from this battle for P1. Valero is still doing his best to try and pull away from the group, but with all these cars being almost identical, it is really hard to actually eke out an advantage with a little bit of a time like Guinness and Vasquez. A little bit of a shunt there as they're trying to get past each other. Right now, you can see Guinness is pressuring Vasquez to a point. He might make an unforced error. We'll have to see whether or not that comes to fruition. You can see the dents. Guinness's car has been battle hardened.
Absolute battle scar here as that is quite a big prediction there as we get there if it's a neck crash, but so far at least, fingers crossed, hasn't had any sort of that. We just had a couple of very big shunts and quite a few near misses for the guys behind who are avoiding the right up in front of him. Here's Guinness though. Let's see what he can do on the back of Aaron Vasquez. Perennial front runners in the championship, but Vasquez hasn't really been able to make the most out of this Audi in his disposal. Guinness goes left, goes right, goes back to the left on the inside, touches the back of Vasquez, setting him spinning around slightly.
No.
But the front wheel drive once again comes to the rescue. But at the expense of that, he lost 2 positions to both Guinness and Muesca.
Oh no, that was so unfortunate. Guinness here has been a part of a lot of contact incidents recently. Might cause a bit of displeasure among the other drivers here, but you do whatever it takes. You need to win within reason, and Guinness relatively well is still catching up to Harrison. Well, not catching up. There's still 3 seconds apart between them. Harrison, on the other hand, is closing the gap between him and Agia.
Indeed, and you can see Muesca fighting the back of Guinness here. Someone did say that there might be a light contact. Maybe not light contact per se. It was just judgment to go to the inside. Was not thinking about the bad part of Fowler. He just wanted to get it in front of Vasquez and then some. But credit to what credit's due, Vasquez held his car quite well and still pointing in the right direction. He's still within a shot of regaining that position here, but he's gonna have to contend with Muesca right up in front. To be precise, Carlos Muesca. He's only about 2/10 of a second as they come out of left field again, as we might have a replay of an incident earlier. No, I don't think so.
Doesn't seem like it, but another story right now is that Muesca is right on the tail of Guinness, tries to make a pass happen, does have the run up, but as they enter Cox, he had to brake a little bit earlier in order to not disturb both cars and cost both of them the race right now. Harrison, on the other hand, in 5th place, is actually catching up to Agia quite. I lost my train of thought there as I saw Muesca almost on the bumper of Guinness there onto the Wellington straight. Slightly out of the draft, but we'll be able to catch up quite quickly. Will he be able to catch up before they make Brooklands though? I don't think he'll be able to make a move there, but this particular corner, a point of contention for the race throughout both heats.
Indeed, and we've had quite a few overtakes here and crashes for good measure. How LeBerge and Verone came together. They hit the first time on the Wellington straight in the previous heat. This time it was coming through Brooklands, and both of them are well and truly out because their cars are both borked. As come across the line now, Harrison, 1 minute 0.111. He is the fastest man on the track right now with Guinness and here's that incident between Guinness and Vasquez that we are promised to be inset picture in picture. Yeah, I think it might have been a misjudgment from Guinness there. Probably he tried to brake and go into the inside, keeping it narrow, but Vasquez was thinking the exact same thing. And they want the exact same piece of real estate, just to not to go to tango.
Oh man, it's really difficult to call right now, I think. But I mean, for the other positions, yeah, sure, because Gal Valero is still trying to keep the lead right now. We've got about 3 laps left in the race before everything is over. Perez is still trying to make a move there. Here go Kieran Harrison right on the tail of Aguirre. The gap considerably narrowed since the last we saw. Will he be able to make something happen and jump out to P4? We'll have to wait and see, but he'll be really happy if he manages to do so.
Certainly, he will be happy to at least get something out of this. He's no doubt the win is well and truly out of his hands right now, unless Valero, Perez, and Fabi take each other out. This will become the fight for the win. Aguirre holds on the narrow line and parks it on the exit, which is the right thing to do. There's nothing wrong about that. It's nothing in the grey areas. It's just proper race etiquette. As we're on to the Wellington Straight here for the 18th time. Aguirre goes narrow again. Harrison on the outside. Here he comes here, trying to make it on the inside next time by. If he gets his car alongside, he at least has half a chance. But Aguirre has more the momentum and he holds on to P4 just for the time being. And remember, this is the same Aguirre that caused a bit of the kerfuffle at the start just now, where we had a couple of drivers being sent off, including Kieran Harrison. So this is Harrison's opportunity to get one over the other guy in front. For how long here can he stay behind? Our camera crew is picking out the best of the action. That was a really good camera shot to see how fast it just visualizes how fast you can see how he can get close. That's a bit of a touch. Aguirre and Harrison touch there, coming out of cops and flashes his lights. Probably a defensive move a bit too robust.
Yeah, definitely. I think Aguirre is really pushing his defense to the absolute limit there, but I don't think he'll be able to last for long as they're almost trying to pull up side by side. Kieran Harrison is trying to find ways there, but you can see Aguirre swerving a little bit, trying to throw Harrison off the scent. Harrison not bothered by that at all, tries to go on the outside of Aguirre on Brooklands right now. Goes a little bit wide, ends up losing a bit of time there, but he does manage to pull the switch back, coming out of Brooklands into the start-finish straight, and he made that pass really clean.
Apologies if anyone can lip read what Aguirre said there. Probably really kind word. Probably is a bit miffed with himself, knowing the fact that he could have held the line there. But Harrison, a testament to how never to give up when you looks like the chance was gone. He planted the foot in on the inside, kept it together, and forced the error from Aguirre, and he's out to P4. At least that's a net cancellation. But on the inside goes Aguirre just now. But it looks as though the gap still stays. Or is it? Because they're going to go side by side. And look at the battle here. Multiple battles on the track. I don't think even the camera crew can pick up which one's which because it's so close. The drivers outside of the 14 positions. Fabi is challenging Perez. There goes Valero up in front. But here is Harrison on the inside. Aguirre goes around the outside, tucks it to the back. But only one more corner to go, and that's it. That's Aguirre's chances of getting back up to P4 done. Harrison does as well. Meanwhile, up in front, Valero fulfills the promise of the pace that he had for qualifying and takes Heat 2 victory here. Behind him is David Perez and Gonzalo Fabi. But Kieran Harrison with a heroic drive to play valiantly up to P4 twice in 2 successive heats that he had to find out the way. Guinness in 6, Infernal has got 7, Vasquez 8, Fred has 9, and Nash running your top 10 with Leitner just about missing out on the top 10 behind his fellow countrymen. Dean 11, 12, Melo 13, Felipa with a sing on us 3 is 9, 14th, and Valero can afford a bit of a smile now. He is absolutely happy with himself. And Kulhavi, reverse fortunes of what happened in Harem. He is in P15 after being taken out at the midpoint of the race. But Damon, what a crazy race.
Yeah, what a crazy couple of rounds there. We've seen a lot of changes in position. We see very close and intense racing. We got one of the best recovery drives I've seen so far from Kieran Harrison there, and what a result ended up being there. You see Gal Valero, our session winner there, Facecam just disappeared. But the story of the hour, so of course, is Kieran Harrison, who scored fastest lap for all 3 sessions.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. So it shows how much pace he had it not been for the incidents at the start of both heats. Otherwise, we'll be talking about Kieran Harrison with another triple crown. But it is what it is, and that's how the cookie crumbled, which is something that did not happen to who was driving the Orioca Vasquez. Okay, the cookie crumbled towards the end, but he finishes up in the top 10. Outside of that, the likes of Pedro, Nobelina, Pedro Dean, Joaquin Melo, Dino Filippo, Gaston Kohavi, especially Kohavi being taken out, Fabio Zeppelini, Martin Chico, Florian Bush, and the rest of them boys, Nicolas Varone especially, and Nico Godoy, just sad to be missing out on some really good points. But apart from that, the results definitely reflect the pace that the drivers had throughout the entire race. But Damon, just before we get into the interviews, what was your standout? Who's your standout performer throughout the entire race? In fact,
oh, definitely Kieran Harrison. I mean, there is nothing you can say about the recovery drive that he had in both races as well. It's It's very astonishing to see how much progress progress is not the right word to say, how much he made in terms of positions when he started so far down the grid.
Well, we can say progress with that one because yep. I mean, we can say progress with that one because how he had to progress from the back of the field twice to get it up at least into the top 10 on each of the two occasions. But yeah, I guess what might have been had it not been for the incidents, but he could be consoling himself knowing the fact he got the $30 for qualifying pole position. Maybe that comes as a slight consolation. And of course, we still don't know who has won the overall race after this because we need to check out the results towards the end of the interviews after this before we head off for the night. But yeah, that's Kieran Harrison's race. What about the other drivers that really could have actually gotten more? We're looking through some of the results right now from this entire race. Maybe Corentin Guinness, I guess, because Guinness was on the podium, was the fastest in qualifying. He finished 5th in Heat 1, Heat 2 P6. Again, showed that he had the pace, but incidents just prevented him from going any higher.
Yeah, and definitely. And another one that's really unfortunate was Nicolas Varone, who actually got taken out for both races, which is really unfortunate because he's a really fast driver. So it really sucks to see him in these kinds of circumstances, battling with the beach, and then end up taking them both out. And we're going to cut to the interviews in just a moment. So a little bit of a final word from you, Amir, regarding the races we had so far.
I mean, we say so far because it's going to be the end of the night, but yeah, really amazing racing. The TCR cars in the front-wheel drive category have provided so much of the action here so far this season, and can't wait to see more of that coming in the next few rounds, especially as the championship now will be heading towards its midpoint pretty soon.
Hello everybody, we're back and we are here with David Perez for the interview session here. Hi David, how are you today?
Hi, fine, thank you.
Well, okay, let's cut to the chase, right? Your race 1 didn't go particularly well, unfortunately, but I think you clawed it back. You did very well in race 2. How did you manage to reset your mental for race 2?
Well, the mental was reset just in time before the race because I was in P16, so the Heat 2 would be a nightmare again. But then in the last lap I got P15 by, I don't know, some miracle or something. So from then on I just think about coming home with something, not with empty hands, and that's what I did for the future.
Yeah, honestly, that's really, really great. I mean, what did you think about the entire race? So, the entire round, in your opinion?
Well, coming for this round, I thought that I was somewhat good with these cars, but seeing what I did on qualifying and the rhythm that I had on Heat 1, definitely not as fast as I thought. But then on Heat 2, I was able to keep the rhythm of Gael, although for sure it was thanks be for the draft. But anyway, I think it was better than I thought on lap 17, so it was great.
Yeah, definitely. the car and track combo probably was one of the nicest feeling from what I can see. The grid was super close, very competitive, I think, and I really congratulate you on a race well done. Do you have anything to say to the people that are watching right now?
Well, I mean, thanks for watching, and also thanks for organizing this kind of championships. I've been only in the last 3 races or 4, I think 3. And it's been amazing to see the field so tight together, and also tight on all different kind of classes. So I expect that for the next races and keep it going.
Well, thank you very much for those words, David. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in the next rounds as well. And good race.
Thank you.
Well, before we pull off for the next interview, I just have a point of... Oh my... I'm so sleepy, man. It's 4:30 in the morning, but regardless of that, that race did keep me wide awake for the time being. I mean, it's crazy how close it was to everybody. And we're about to line up the second interview with Galvadero in just a minute. Hi there, Guile.
Hello.
Congratulations on your race 2 win. It was a very amazing drive from you coming from that particular track.
Yeah, it was nice enough.
So how did you feel about what the results of race 1, and how did you manage to claw it back in race 2?
I guess surviving is just the key now. Took quite a few races to adapt to the new TCR pack in AMX. So still trying to adapt to that, and race 2, 1 big incident, and the rest unfolded. I had to overtake only 4 cars. So that's quite a much easier job compared to race 1, where you have to overtake 13.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I had a question lined up. I just forgot what it was. How did you feel when during the battle you had between Gonzalo Fabi and David Perez there? How did you feel the pressure?
Well, I didn't feel pressure since I was behind. That's the thing. You're the one putting pressure, but in the end, if you know, if you're a bit faster, you can be a bit more patient and try to think to take the spot in a bit of a smarter way than just forcing it. So yes, turn 3, turn 4, I see that was quite weak for well, not the 2 cars, but at least for one of the cars, so I knew it would stack up at this point. And then yeah, it's about taking the opportunity when it presents itself, and sometimes it presents itself very obviously and sometimes not. So if you're a bit patient, you have to know when. I guess I did.
Amazing thought process. You've also been embroiled in a bit of a rivalry with your fellow countryman Guinness there. How do you feel about this current circumstances between you and Guinness when it comes to battling on the AMX 10 circuit?
So far, we have always raced fair. It's obviously when you have kind of all the time the same pace, you meet each other on the track quite a lot. But I don't have issues with anyone on the track in particular. So even with Corentin, even if we race hard, we race fair. which is
Anything-
most important for me.
Yes, definitely. Sportsmanship is key for a lot of these races. Anything you'd like to say to the people watching at home?
Hello. Good evening if you're in Europe, and I think good morning if you're in USA. I'm not sure, actually. Have a
I
nice day.
I can tell you right now, it's morning where I am. It's like 4:30 in the morning, I think.
Jesus Christ. You, I hope you enjoyed waking up so early to watch the races then.
Yeah, no, it was fun, and you put on an amazing drive, and thank you so much for joining us for this interview, and congratulations on your race 2 victory.
Thank you. Will we see you next time?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of people gunning for the job, so we'll see.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Well, we're finally at the end of today's sessions.
Yeah, we didn't really get much out of Gal there. Yeah, we didn't really get much out of Gal there, but at least we get to hear from his perspective how it feels like to have a fellow countryman that is equally fast and just go through, race cleanly. Yeah, that's really the nicest thing to say, isn't it? As a fellow to your fellow countryman, just a compliment to how well you both have raced, and let's hope it just keeps it fair throughout the entire season as more of the TCR races are coming up. As results will be coming up pretty soon, we will be putting it on screen once they're done. But yeah, from first we got that. Oh, in fact, results are done almost immediately. We can just dilly-dally on a bit for that one. Harrison, though, despite not winning a single heat, still manages to come out as the top qualifier, or sorry, race winner, because it is also a race in the entire run. Ahead of Gar Valero by just $2 or 2 points, and Corentin Guinness third. So the Brit is in first place on his home country in front of the 2 Frenchmen, and the rest of the field, Fabi, despite his early woes as well, is fourth, same number of points with Kulhavi, Vasquez, Muesca, Agria, Filipa, despite having his poor race 2 as well, and Pedro Dean, who went off to a lightning start at the start of heat number 2, is running up your top 10. But consolation, I did say earlier, for being on pole, but he'll be even happy to know that he won overall, Damon.
Yeah, I think those 3 fastest laps really gave him the edge in terms of how well he did. And again, just going back to that recovery drive in both races, it's pretty amazing. And we were actually going to ask him to do an interview, but he decided to skip out because he wanted to watch a football game. So he's got his priorities straightened out.
Yeah, Monday night football. Well, Tuesday night football. I'm not sure who's playing right now because I'm pretty sure that the Football League Cup just happened over the weekend. Maybe FA Cup replays, who knows? But whatever it is, that is the end of our broadcast. As you can see below there, you can follow our socials from Instagram, Twitch, Twitter /X, Discord. You can watch all the live action on YouTube alongside the Twitch broadcast. Sign up for amxrace.com, our website, and of course, any other short form content that you might hear after this from either this race or in previous races that will be popping up on our timeline or your timeline pretty soon. But I think that's pretty much it for tonight. For me, Amir, alongside me, Damon, it's been a pleasure to bring you all the action, and I think we're truly, despite looking a bit sleepy, we're truly wide awake from the amazing racing that we had. But until then, this Saturday, we'll be coming up with more races. But for now, it's goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.